Welcome back. We are here for the close today. Should be an exciting afternoon of trade as the markets are still on the move. Mostly southbound, so it's relatively weak. You're going to notice, taking over for Brendan today in the big desk. We're going to have Arun and Sean trading here, guiding you through the overall markets. As we do have a little bit of turmoil, we're still feeling the effects of these headline risks and downside moves in the overall futures. We're going to have a quick look at the board here just to start things off. You got the S&P down about 0.9%. We'll put the quote board up there, guys, and down just under 1% here on the S&P. The Dow 0.5% to the downside. It's the NASDAQ leading the way, the wrong way, of course. Down 1.35%. And TSX slightly down. Crude oil is basically flat, as is Bitcoin. Ethereum holding up a little bit better than most, but a lot of this had been reversed. It did look a little bit better this morning when we were checking things early on. Of course, we do want to check in on the big board as well, just to show you do have little pockets of strength here. Now, in consumer discretionary, you're going to notice lows here after their earnings report, up 2.5%. Basically the only thing in the entire sector to that upside. They had the strong earnings report, so relative strength in that particular name. Over in services, you've got Penn up 5%. You've got Caesars up 5%. That pales in comparison to DraftKings, which has been absolutely booming for a second day in a row. They're close to 10% to the upside. On the other side of the coin, you've got cruise lines, NCLH, CCL, both down 4 to 4.5%. Continuing to show a little bit of weakness overall. Industrials has Johnny Deere heading down 3%. So Caterpillar down 1.5%. Weakness abound even in transportation. All the major airlines 3% across the board there. Not a heck of a lot of places to hide, but I can show you some strength, at least in the healthcare sector, as you see a little bit of green in that area. But that does not extend to Moderna. Moderna down 5%. Once again, showing that trend and a lot of weakness. If you wanted to have a quick look over at energy, if you're looking for something that is green across the board, you've got Chevron 2.5% there. You've got Devon Energy 1.8%. So some strength obviously happening overall in the energy sector. Going to try to flip on over, and it works the first time. See, when Brendan's in the chair and he flips to the NASDAQ, nothing happens for him. When I flip to it, it looks... well, it comes up right away. I'm not going to say that it looks terribly good. Right now, you're going to see a lot of weakness across the board. Zoom, Zscaler, Datadog down 4, 3, 3.5%. DocuSign showing weakness. In the chip sector, semiconductors, NVIDIA down 2, AMD down 2.5%. Intel showing some signs of a bounce. They're up a 1% at least for now. And Texas Instruments, same thing. A lot of weakness in Airbnb, one that we're talking about this morning. Looks pretty good on the daily chart. Maybe for some entry points, but Airbnb down 7% in today's trade. Miss V will be unhappy to note that we have Starbucks down 2.8%. So we've got a lot to look forward to in terms of volatility, at least for this particular day. But as we do, before we get into anything else, we like to look at some opportunities from earlier on in the day. Now, it doesn't have to be a trade at the open. It's just whatever you guys are going to learn the most from. And I think it's going to be Sean switching it up a little bit here. He's going to show you a trade he had in the overall market.
Yo, what's up, guys? Basically today, it's going to be a one and done. We're going to talk about it real quick. The trade today is on the NASDAQ. It's the triple Qs. And look, how many afternoons do we need to sit here and watch the market completely bleed down? So I said, you know what? Forget about it. I've sat in that chair so many times, and yesterday it was frustrating because I was short or long something, and it wasn't moving. I think it was DraftKings maybe. And I was short the stock, and it just kept going up while the market kept going down. I was like, you know what? If we have a read on the market, let's just take it. So I do that with the triple Qs. Remember, you can do that, and I'm going to be with Arun here this afternoon. You can do this on the futures as well. I prefer the Qs because it trades. My keys are set up. It's easy to trade as an equity as opposed to the futures. So a little bit of a different risk situation. Look, what I was doing was all morning, right? No trades at all. What I'm looking for is a trend break or change. So this is a 50-period moving average. The pink and the blue is volume weighted average price. We missed the short. This is the open. We missed the short off the open, just completely to the downside. I prefer trading equity, obviously, in the morning as we have some key levels and things to do. But then we let it float back up. It retests VWAP. This is the key thing here. The volume weighted average price gets retested and doesn't break up here at 337 off of some of these bottoms. So what do? Like a ninja, we're sitting there waiting for our time to strike. And that happens right here once we take down this 50-period moving average, and then it just starts to collapse to the downside. So we short right here, and as you can see, that's about 337, 336.50 or so. Take some out here for 50 cents, 75 cents, $1. Down here is $2. Down here is $3. And then it goes all the way down into the money to 333. So we actually wind up having like $4 or $5 on this short, but we let it just keep on falling. And what we're doing this time is, you see here, we don't have a breach at all. Forget about these wicks. We don't breach at all until right here, 11.19. If I would have shorted in the morning, then what we would have had is short up here, 342, and then we wouldn't have got out till 335, $7. The same thing again here. We wait till it breaks, and this is something that I just have to either get better at or, hold a little bit more shares so that as it drops down, I can take a little bit more out. But each one of these is about 10%. We hold the last little bit for that last 50-period break. It happens real quick, bang, right up to the upside. We get out of our last little piece there for about $3 on the sell side. That's a good trade. Now we're looking at maybe bottoming out here. So it's the Qs, it's your trade of the day, and yeah, it's a technical breakdown. No messing around with single stock risk. We take the futures, it's the NASDAQ 100, and it is your trade of the day.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Sean. And look, the reality is when the market is moving, you want to try to stick to what those catalysts might be. And sometimes it just means expressing the trade in the simplest terms possible. If you're looking at the broad market moves, especially in growth and especially in tech, then you just want to lead things off by going right to the well and going into those cues. You can also look at the SPY, or as our trader, not new trader, of course, Arun's with us many times, is our futures trader, like to do drop into the ES and the NASDAQ. And Arun here, just to start things off, I just want to just quickly go right to you because we've had a lot of volatility in the overall market. And what have you been doing with the futures today? Did you take part in this short position at all? What are your thoughts on some of the levels, just to start things off going into this final 2 hours of trade?
All right, well, I mean, futures, obviously there's some levels that you want to set up and there's trades that you do want to make somewhat obvious at some points, but the issue ends up being risk, right? And now there was a read that I had this morning that I really wanted to, and I was talking about it on the show. 4,300 was the bottom end support level. Let me just draw this out for you, maximize this chart. So 4,300 was a level that I've got here for you guys when I came on this morning. It was right about, actually, let's go to a 15-minute chart just so you guys can see better of the levels that I was talking about here. So 4,300 was the level I was looking at. It was going to be right here, right? And 4,350 was also, well, 4410, 4,350. Anyways, we don't have to worry about that right now anyways. 4,300 was the level I was looking at. Potential longs if we can actually just get underneath 20, trade around here. I was looking for longs right through here. And then this market decided to open up and start to sell off. Okay, at that point you back away. And then once they took the 4,300 and stayed below, and there was a decent amount of sell side activity, I'm like, okay, you know what? It's time to short. So I put the offer out at a point that made sense to me in terms of risk, and I was offering 43.10. So just in front of 43.10, and as you can see, that green bar, the high, not that green bar, it was right here. The high of this red bar is 43.04. So never got the 10s. Turns out I accidentally had repriced my order at 04 instead of the 9s that I wanted. And I got in accidentally, got out as soon as I realized that I got a price that I did not want. So yeah, I did miss out on this move, even though I had the short mistake. But the read here is going to be that 4,300 break, trade below, use the previous action as resistance against the support level or against the stop loss level, which was north of 43.50. And I don't risk more than 40 points. So for me, 43.10 or nothing, right? And I couldn't get my 43.10, so I walked away from the trade. Now we're sitting right in front of that 42.50 that I had mentioned in the morning, and here we are kind of bouncing around. We're kind of locked in this little base here. If we can stay above 42.50 and bounce up, there's a long against the 42.50. If we break through, I'm going to go for the short, but again, risk controlled, right? In this market, you can't be throwing up crazy amounts of risk because we've seen how far this market, fast this market can go back and snap back. So for me, 40 points is the maximum. If I need to risk it, I will. If I need to risk more, I'm going to back away. So as you can see, let me just pull up the futures chart actually from our system. As you can see, that right there, that arrow, yeah, that's me getting short accidentally and then me dumping it for a 4-point winner as soon as I realized that that's not the price I wanted. Remember, I wanted it 5 points higher just so I can get the risk under control. So yes, I had the short. Yes, I missed out on it. But I mean, that's trading for you. And sometimes you just got to wait for the right trades. And you know what? You guys hear me say it all the time. I will wait for the right prices and the right trades if I need to. So here we are still waiting. There could be a long here as we get closer and closer to the end of the day. And this market is up, what, down 0.81% on the S&P, 1.23 on the NASDAQ. So there's a lot of story left to be said. And the day's not even over yet.
Day's not even close to being over, and I'm glad to be here with Arun. And yeah, we're doing the same thing, man. I mean, that was the trade of the day where we wait for the specific prices to get long, and then, or in that situation was short, and then hit it. So, okay, right now we are into AMD right here. It did just go, like again, like be disciplined, man. Like we were long there. It goes right back upside. We could have easily taken there 30 cents. We were waiting to get out in this 40 area. So that's my target area for AMD up here. 112.40 is what we'll look for here in AMD to the long side on this one. DraftKings came back in. I see some people on the chat saying, hey man, how come you're not short DraftKings? And yeah, you're not wrong on that. We should be short DraftKings right now because that 21 level was pretty key. And again, just watching the cues, trading that instead. DraftKings makes a move all the way up. And even when this was happening in the morning, I was like, I can't believe why DraftKings was going up. Even yesterday, we had Caesars with a good report, but there's DraftKings coming back in. And again, the same thing. If you kind of wait for it to make a top and then hit that, you know, the 50 period works again, but it didn't work really that great right here. Now we make a move to the downside. Look at this consolidation, 1970 here on DKNG, so it could be another area of support here. So maybe we'll go long DraftKings when it comes through, but for right now, DraftKings 1980 or so seems to be pretty decent support.
Alrighty.
Come back to me. Just I wanted to talk a little bit of the relative strength that you had in something like a DraftKings because you saw Caesars, and we showed some of the other names like Penn as well moving back into that upside. But it is worth noting that's about one of the strongest names that we have in the overall market. But I did want to have a quick alert to VIST. If you're watching this. First of all, I got a bit of an issue, so I'm going to have different charts, but I'm going to pop up VIST for you guys on a 5-minute. Big volume spike in the afternoon here today, sort of gapping and making a big move. Vista Oil and Gas all the way up to about a 780 and pulling back, but high volume name running. We showed the energy sector being relatively strong. You just talked about DraftKings, and we've seen a few related in the gambling sector that were all green, but it was also everything energy related that's strong. So if you're looking for something breaking out toward those highs, VIST making some power moves, as they say, overall. But I also wanted to get your thoughts. I mean, both of you, it doesn't really matter either one, but Tesla. Yeah, Tesla's still under some pressure here, guys. We move on to the next topic. And I just feel, you know, Tesla made that break of that 800 level. We're still showing a heck of a lot of weakness. There was a slight story this morning, and you know, Elon's going to find himself in a little bit of trouble. But they also did expand their Shanghai factory. And overall, it does feel like this has been a bellwether for the entire EV sector. We saw some of the gains that were put in the Chinese EVs reversed when Tesla accelerated to the downside. You know, the Shanghai news is definitely going to be good news. But this was, this morning, looking like it was going to be a strong day for the EV names, whether it was NIO, whether it was Li Auto, XPeng, we talked about Tesla reversing things. Do we see a trade on this end? Doesn't have to be Tesla, maybe even over in NIO, guys.
Well, you guys can come to me. I've got the daily, and I've talked about Tesla before because everyone asks about Tesla because it's, you know, it's a hot name. But then I always stay away from it because of the price point, right? And every time it's come up, we've always mentioned, hey, you know what? It's stuck between 1,000 and 850.
Yeah.
This was the last time I was here anyways. It's been a while, I guess. 1,850, let it break out, and then we get a trade. Well, what happens now? We break out underneath 850 2 days in, and we're already at 781. So this market has opened up to the downside. This is the daily on Tesla. Now, you could argue that there's some support points on the way down, and this is me kind of zooming that chart out. Yeah, we've got maybe 775. But again, these are all like, the amount of time that we spent around that 850 going back and forth has built up a decent amount of support that is now broken. So I can imagine the amount of resistance you're going to deal with on the way back up. We've got decent downside space, I want to say, because we really don't have much of a consolidation until we get at least to about 700, right? And there's a decent amount of space. And this move has been in play or been setting up for most of February. And we finally got that breakdown happening now. And I think you got to be open to the idea that there could be a purchase much lower than where it is now, 782. It's holding up, what, 4.75% in 2 days, in 4 days, 4 straight days. It's gone from 910 or so down to 782. At some point, you are going to get that snapback, but we've got to hit that support point first. So technically, I think we've got some space. Just, I keep saying be patient. I saw somebody in the chat saying, I'm this age. What do you mean be patient? It's like, well, if you're going to wait for the right trade, you've got to wait for the right trade. It doesn't matter how old you are or how long you got to wait. If you're okay with that, if you're not, then probably look at something else, right? So if you're waiting for Tesla, you're going to have to wait for the right price. Otherwise, the risk on a trade like this is going to be absolutely nuts.
I hear something new every day. Like, patience has something to do with age with trading? I don't know. I guess the young gunslingers out there want trades ASAP, but I think you got to wait, and I think that's 100% right. And if you waited for 800 today on Tesla to break, then you're cashing that in right now, nicely in the money, 20, 30 bucks, with the market still going to the downside. Today, I tried to be as patient as I could with NEO, and we let it go all the way to the bottom, and we did pretty good. We wanted to defend that 2150 area, so we got long 2170, took a few pennies out, then it broke, and we got out, including 2160, and then 2150 out right there. So we're flat on NIO today, but look at this. We just found a bottom here, 2075. So as the futures come back in, hey, where's my, here it is. Let's get that People's Trader over here again. You can see here, this 2075 has held, but we are trying to break through the 50-period moving average. So for right now, I'm long AMD. That's just blah, not doing anything. So maybe there's nothing here on AMD, but I'm wondering about NEO off a 20-minute. There's nothing here. We did base out last time at 20 bucks. If we go all the way back to this dip, I think this was the worst. Yeah, anything you see on January 28th, those are the all-time lows for a lot of names, or at least period lows in this new year. So January 28th, we go all the way down, and I'm going to ignore that wick, but I'm not going to ignore this is 1965, and then the real bottom, though, is 20. So, you're getting pretty close here on NIO, where you could say, hey, maybe there's something that we can trade off of a long level. That's going to be $20 on NEO. But, man, we're just hovering around. Let's see what this market wants to do. I think if we can break above, like, what is this level, 21? This is only a 1-minute chart, so we've already been up to 22 and change. All we have to do is break this 21 and start to head back up to the upside, maybe 21.30, back up to VWAP or so. So let's do that. Let's dance right now. As the futures are starting to go back up to the upside, we're seeing AMD start to run now. So we have this trade 10 cents in the money. Hopefully that goes a little bit more for us now. But I think we're going to try NIO here on a 21 break to go long, and then we'll use the 50 period as our out, which is going to be 2085, 2086. So long NEO breaking through 21. I like it.
There we go, talking a little bit of those EV names. But look, that wasn't all that was moving. We have a lot of, and Sean, you made the term, was it garbage stocks reporting tonight, or whatever you'd like to call them, but beaten up names. We had one of those report overnight and trade here today, and that's going to be Virgin Galactic. Now, they reported a smaller loss than expected in their report, but realistically, they're not making money at this point, and it was a revenue miss, and I laughably say that because the miss was $150,000 in revenue instead of 300,000 expected. When your market cap is $2 billion and you're talking about hundreds of thousands, you're going to be under some pressure. I will show it reversed its move a little bit after going upside. Now, admittedly, I was short this in the morning, and then we did short in the afternoon up at the tops, but we're now all the way back to 8 even. So what does this tell us for potential trades in space? It gives it up, mostly a bit of a squeeze play, but it's come back since. And for some of the related type names, that are going to be, we know we're reporting here tonight. So whether that's fruit, whether that's lemonade, or pick your poison, what are we doing with these, given what we saw here in Virgin Galactic? Yes, it eventually came down, but that short interest had it squeezing at 8:30 or 9:30.
Yeah, I think you just got to do. We had Cult on this morning as well. The stock, the CEO from Cult, talking about the squeeze that happened yesterday on their stock. I don't know. I just think, like you mentioned, you were short, Neil. They squeezed you out of the trade, and I just think that you got to have a little bit of a higher time frame. If you know the squeeze is on, then you got to give it a little bit more room. I mean, here it is coming right back down to the downside, back to $8 again. These pre-market levels. So to me, we missed a long off $8 right now. So that was a good opportunity. But I mean, off the open, if we zoom in a little bit here, there were what, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, maybe 12 or so green candles with one red candle, maybe it's 10, with one red candle in there. So, I mean, a big move to the upside for space to start the day. I don't remember if there is an imbalance or not, but sometimes that's worth looking at there with SPCE. But honestly, man, this has been a dead stock for a long, long time. We've been talking about trying to find levels on this name. This is just a shame what they've done to this stock. And it's like people that have invested in this. I mean, look, we've all done these things, invested in names that we wish we hadn't. But like, if zero could come any faster, then it would maybe make this name a little bit easier to trade, because honestly, this is just to the downside. I know they have a nice cash position, but I mean, if the only thing that's going to get the stock to move up is short squeezes, that means downward trending market. And I know you have a chart up there. I think that's of space, isn't it? Yeah. That's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you come to my screen, this is what the space weekly chart looks like. So pretty much it's kind of dead right up until we get into about 2020. Makes sense, right? And then we get all this action. This is all 1 week, right? The bottom is like 750, top is about 62.5. Here we are, 3 tops, trending down since, that's been in play for about two years now. So definitely keep an eye on that 7 even. If we lose 7 even, that's $1.20 away. If we lose that, I mean, it's open space for space. And it might be a dark hole too, because we don't know how far it's going to go down, but for the time being, it's a trend to the downside. Just be aware of that. If you are looking for long plays, let's kind of zoom that into the daily, because at this point, you can't intraday trade this, right? You're going to have to swing this in some fashion. The only real chance to the upside is, given how we're consolidating around 8, if we were to kind of bounce through 11 and 12, preferably 12, that could give you an idea that, hey, you know what, they're still willing to defend this area. Maybe along there makes sense down to 7. But again, if we lose 7, and especially with today's move, right, we went as high as 9 and dropped off, yeah, that's going to be a problem. So there's clearly some more sell-side activity coming in, because we ran strong off the open, and then sell-side activity came in. You're going to get some reports, and now if we lose that 7, it's definitely just keep an eye on 7. I think that's going to be the critical number here, given that that's the number that bounced this thing all the way up to 62.5. So definitely keep an eye on 7 on space.
I just want to say right quickly here, people asking for my out on AMD. Look, we just took this pretty light, thinking that we'd have a chance to go back up. We're waiting to get more shares right now, just to make sure my bid is still in here. Yeah, 10.45, so $100.45. We'll take this bid here if it comes back in. We want to get long ahead of 110. That's it. It's like we want to get long in front of 110. If 110 breaks, then we're going to get out of that trade. So that's what we're waiting for. The market is fading back in. And I'm just really, to be honest with you, just pretty peed off, because I had this Q short dead up here, like absolutely dead. Unfortunately, we got out there. It's your trade of the day. But wow, the market is just like, that's why we went short, Arun, man. Like we went short there, hoping that, we wouldn't have to deal with a cross, but obviously it's come back in. So I think we did pretty good. The mistake really was getting out too many right here, as we're short at 337 flat. And here I am taking, the majority of these out on that upside right here at 336, 336.50 and so on and so forth. So that was silly, but here comes the market straight to the downside. Did I just get in and out of something? Oh yeah, we went long NEO again. And by the way, that just broke the bottom. So a little bit of a tester there, long, and that takes out the bottom. So let's see if we can get AMD into the money here. And buy some of these dips. I may just get a little more aggressive with AMD and take a bid now in case we don't get into the 50s, but I think it's coming anyway. So AMD right now, we'll do a little more work on this. I'm still waiting to see if it dips down a little bit more. So that's my play on AMD, down $1 from here.
So one last one here, and we're going to talk reverses. Speaking of lows of the day, Teladoc here just broke 62. Now, obviously, the market's making some fresh lows here, so you're going to see a lot of names making some breakdowns. But overall, the report for Teladoc, look, they had growth. They're still losing money, obviously, as we talked about. But revenue, 45% growth there. They guided forward for 25 to 30% growth. But at some point, it becomes, okay, well, yeah, you're growing. When are you going to be profitable, and what are we pricing the stock at? So there was a move to the upside, and this is true of some of these names that have the short interest that have been beaten up, where they squoze to the upside, and then we've had these massive peelbacks throughout the day, because when the market starts to sell off, it doesn't matter if these are squeezing. Like, the buying is not going to go on forever. These stocks have yet to make solidified bottom. So Teladoc just breaking that low of the day. I'll say this one, Sean. I mean, no one ever went broke taking profit. I like to trade in the Qs. And if you're going off of indicators, sometimes it's just clean. You get ins and your outs are going to be clean there. But Teladoc, clean break at 62 just now.
I mean, I can talk about Teladoc.
I wasn't even looking at it. So.
All right, Teladoc. If you ever want to know why people say don't try to catch a falling knife, this is a stock to kind of teach you that lesson, right? Once it started its trend back in December, that's the initial point where we kind of broke down, and then we kind of consolidated a little bit into 2022. And then as of January, we broke down through that 87, it looks like. I think it's about 87 and change. Once we broke that, it was wide open, right? You get that. It was like, mid-November, we fell from 135 to about 105 in about 3 or 4 days. Okay, a few more days, we kind of went up and down. Then we went into this wide consolidation for almost a month. And then we broke through that consolidation to the downside. That gives you more than enough information that, hey, you know what? There's a lot of activity building up around this 90 to 100. And we just broke to the south side of that. So at that point, you got to be like, hey, why not play the short side? If you were to play the short side, it's quite easy, actually. You go for the short south of 87, put the stop north of 110, you let it ride. Of course, that's hindsight. But if you were to try to play this now, though, it's trending down. I mean, I just drew this trend line. I don't even really draw trend lines much, but this is how easy it is to see how well it's trending to the downside. So yes, did it break 62? Great. But at the same time, it's just extending its trend to the downside. And until that trend breaks, and mind you, I'm just going to delete this trend line because that's a flexible thing. It all depends on how flow is around this 70 to 75. But as long as this is the direction that Teladoc wants to look like on the daily, and this is the general trend for the last few months, it's going to be very hard to say, you know what, it's a value purchase at this price. Because if I were to say even zoom out to the weekly, where can I go on weekly? This is kind of what you're dealing with. Maybe there's going to be a bounce around 60, maybe there's going to be 50. At what point do you say, you know what, this is the price I'm okay with? Because given how many times we have that option of bounce, we could have bounced around 80 because we did spend some time in 2019 consolidating around 80. So that could have been the option. Nope, they kind of tried and then failed. So we're going to the next level, 60, then 50. Essentially, this is what you're going to end up with. And I think at this point, if it's trending, just let it trend. At some point, it's going to turn. And once it turns, then you step into Teladoc. The way it's moving, I don't know when this turn is going to stop, but hey, respect the trend, right? Don't try to catch that falling knife. Talking about it, futures now at 42.45. I was just waiting for this market to clear that 50. As long as there's going to be more selling coming in, I just didn't want to snap back south of 50 because stops do go off. I'm going to start to look for some shorts. So as soon as we get that clearance, I'm going to go ahead and start looking for some shorts south of 42.50.
Yeah, I was just quickly before we go on to our next topic here. So I was the same way what you were just talking about there, this falling knife. I tried to catch it on Teladoc, and we got out right here on this bump. I remember on this day we got out, and it was $86, $87 right into there. So we were able to like escape Teladoc, but yeah, straight to the downside. And I said this yesterday, guys. Remember I said like Teladoc's reporting, so just get ready for an absolutely horrible day for the stock. Should have just stuck with that because it opened up for some reason, as Neil and Arun just talked about. It opened up pretty high up here to 69 bucks. It touches it, and now you're all the way downside. So realistically, you're down 5%. But from the open, like that was $69, and now you're down to 61. So you got to give 13. So it's 13% from the high today. So so pretty bad. And then we're just going to go over to something else. So I want to come back to this real quick. Ford, new position alert. It's off of 17. Look, man, I mean, if I can get something out, what, did it just go up there to 12? If it did, that sucks. But we just got long down there as we're talking about TDOC. We'll take a piece out if it does go back up to the upside. But watch out for Ford, down 1.3% right now and trying to bounce off 17. And just like we're doing with AMD off 110, we're going to play Ford right here. This is $17. It came down back on the 8th. Down to 17. It came down and tested 08 yesterday. And then once again today, as this market cannot find a footing, Ford right now. Decent sized position because we have an out here at 17, right? So there it is. There's about 400, 500,000 shares. That's not going to do anything because it's done 50 million today. But just to show you, there is some interest down there at 17 flat. So, hey, we'll get out of this trade if it takes out that 17 even. But for right now, it's Ford targets into the teens and not much more as we're trying to scalp out of this market.
We going back to me? All right, I guess we're going back to me.
He has the wrong camera on there.
There we go, guys. We'll get that back in a quick second there. But as you mentioned Ford there, Sean, I did want to sort of come back to the story with Ford this morning. Look, they talked about that battery electric split and compelling, tricky, yada, yada, yada. But the truth of the matter is there was a talk of them possibly spinning off a little bit there. Wells Fargo said they could be focused on driving cash flow to fund their BEV. And so what role, at this point, we keep talking about valuations mattering. And I think to come back to this, you had a point about maybe Ford had come too far too fast. But when you take Ford and GM and look at their PEs, they're still relatively cheap. So my question to you would be, from that, if someone did not have an investment in any of the legacy automakers, or maybe they don't have an investment at all in the EV space, at what point does the valuation become attractive for Ford or GM, just saying, hey, I should just be getting into this? I understand you're sort of giving some other levels that you want to pull back to. Let's imagine you did not have a position at all. Would you already be dipping back into this name?
I mean, I can't believe Ford is even down here to begin with. So the answer for dipping is 100% yes. You're right near the 200 period moving average here with Ford. And that's 1650. If you come over to the chart here, we can show that. That's 1650 right here, the 200 period. So I believe that as long as you're dipping into names that you think have some catalysts and names that you like, if you're at the 200 period moving average, you're doing pretty good for a starter position. So I mean, just as we say that, it takes out 17, and now you know what, I might just get back in right now. You know what, forget it. It took out 17, and we just got out of our trade there, so that's fine. But yeah, there it is, in and out there, and as it goes back up. So what a surprise there. Thanks, Ford, for that. We got to give it a little bit lower. I just thought there was huge size there. But anyways, Ford, we may get back. We probably will get back into this. But it takes that level out. And just to show you on the daily chart, see, now I'm all like, you know, disgruntled because we got out of that. But I believe that this name, it has a forward PE, guys, of 7.5. Okay, and a current PE of 3.9 using current figures. So let's just wait to see how much lower of a PE are you going to get on this name? I don't know. I think they are an electric vehicle play. I do understand that there is room back down to the downside. I just believe that at a 200 period, if you see a name with catalyst like I believe Ford has, this is one to be picked up. So, you know, whether or not you pick it up now at 17 or wait for a couple more down days, we're in an area that, you know, like when you picked up AMD at 50, did it really matter if you got it at 50 or at 48? You know, it didn't, right? So you got to think about a long-term play on Ford. Right now, I feel like there's no short-term plays in the market. You're swinging against Russia. You're swinging against, you know, political ties and things like that. I'm not a huge fan, to be honest with you, of this market right now and holding anything overnight. We do take another position right now. That's AMD. So here we go. Now we're ready to be serious, Arun, into AMD with some share size that we can play around with. We are long now, AMD 110.80. Off of 109, so 110 bottom. Let's see if it can hold. This is going to be the hero play of the day for me, just like your T-shirt there. Let's see if we can get Captain AMD on the bill here today. So let's go back over to Neil and try that one more time.
Dividends, dividends, dividends. We got the Fed raising rates this year. Inflation's a concern. Everybody wants that cash flow. They want some protection for their portfolio. So the question becomes, what role do dividends have? How important are they? And how should we be approaching dividends as the theme for 2022 flips over to monetary policy that is definitely changing and raising rates? So what are we doing with dividends, dividend stocks? How are we treating them, guys?
All right. Well, first of all, I think it's a huge mistake in this rate environment, in this current place that we are in the financial markets, to say, like, I'm buying this stock because there's a dividend. Because honestly, like, I've heard us talk about Intel before on the show and say, well, they have a dividend. Well, the dividend's 2%. And, you know, you can lose that in an hour in this market, right? But with that being said, I think if you can find a name that you like, dividends should be part of your portfolio, and at least, you know, 20 to 30%. I have a name here on IBM. I'm just talking about dividend-paying names. You can have a Caterpillar. There's some different gold names and so on and so forth. But if you want to go over to tech names, IBM is still a dividend of 5.3%. So when you look at a stock that's 120 bucks, right? 5% of this, you know, brings you back down. Even, I mean, let's talk about right now. If you think the market is, you know, has more downside, but you'd like to have a little bit of protection, if you buy IBM right now and you're at 5% dividend, you're going to collect that every quarter, okay? And then if you need some cash flow, then you take that trade, because right here, if you drop down another 5% on IBM, you're giving yourself some cover back down here to 116, 118, right? 5% on $122 stock, that's $6 a year you're going to be getting. So you take 6 off here and you're right back to these December lows. So I kind of feel like if you buy a stock like an IBM at these levels, or other dividend, I mean, Apple's 1%, Google's pretty small, so you're not going to look at those names for dividend plays. But if you grab a name like IBM here, it actually gives you protection. And even if we zoom this back, it gives you basically the price all the way back here, 118, 119, 116. Like, you just minus the dividend off of this trade, and that's kind of the prices that you're dealing with. And I know that's kind of like a backwards way sometimes of looking at these things, but that's a good way of doing it, man. Find names that pay a dividend that you like, that have some upside potential. I would choose, in this situation, IBM. It's hit down, it's below its 200, it's below its 50 period, and you do have a nice little level here of 118, 119, but I think dividends are an important part of your portfolio, and it's not just the the financial names that you can, or oil and gas that you can catch a dividend in. Sometimes you can get a tech play, and mine would be IBM.
Yeah, and the first question you should ask yourself when you're looking for stocks to play is, what kind of investor are you? Are you an investor that wants to hold on to names and wants to get paid to hold on to names? In that case, you're obviously looking for dividend names, but a lot of times traders want to be more so in tune with prices, right? They want to play with the price game. If you're a trader that's going for price over dividends, then obviously you're going to be in names that are high risk, probably dividends are low, if any, and then you're going to try to make your returns off of prices. If you're trying to be an investor, a long-term investor, maybe for your retirement, whatever the case is, you choose your names, you do your research, get well-paid, dividend-paying names, and that looks structurally sound. In a market like this, where markets are flying around based on news headlines, and we're down 1.8% right now on the NASDAQ, it's going to be very hard to stick through this kind of environment if you don't know what your long-term goal is. I think identifying that will help you decide which type of trader you want to be, which type of investor you want to be, and once you get that under control, then obviously you bring in dividends to kind of give you that conservative portion of the stock market, as where the playing for the price changes and trying to double, triple, quadruple your investment because the price has gone absolutely nuts is a different portion. That's a high-risk portion. So if you can balance the two, if you're a balanced trader, you're going to try to balance the two. If you're more leaning towards high risk, then obviously you're going to try to play price. If you're more low risk, then you're looking for dividend names that are stable. So it's all a matter of what spectrum do you lie in when it comes to being an investor. And I think once you get that answer, you can figure out which direction you want to go in, especially when it comes to dividends.
Exactly there, guys. And look, let's think about this for a second, because look, if you're not getting paid a dividend, then reality, what you're holding in terms of an equity is worth what somebody else is going to pay you, because unless you're getting that cash flow, and that's what makes it speculative in that regard. And you just to sort of end things off, the last thing that you can always consider before choosing a dividend name is check to see the history, right? Like, are they consistently paying a dividend? Have they been doing so? Is it increasing? Is it prone to decreases? Because the last thing you want to do is think that you're getting, I guess, the lack of volatility and that support of the dividend, and then they pull the plug on it there. And sometimes people get carried away by chasing that dividend yield. You do get the opportunity when you're in dividend names to understand that because of that floor and that security they have in them, they might not be as volatile. So if the market pulls back 10%, that stock is not going to pull back as far in theory. But you've got to decide, as you mentioned there, Arun, what type of investor you want to be. Is it about capturing that price movement and growth? If that's what it is, then the dividend-paying stocks are not going to be for you because you want those companies reinvesting in growing and their business. So there you go, a little bit of a talk on dividends. Hot topic. Why? Because we have a raising rate environment and everybody is wanting to decide where they can put their money, guys. So a little bit of information for you there. Back to the markets, man. And look, obviously we have had a little bit of volatility as we're talking about here. I just went back over to Teledoc to see, yes, that's right, we're still on those lows of the day. Not a lot hitting those headlines, but overall, not seeing a lot of strength across the board. I did jump back over quickly, and I know we talked about the EVs there, to note that Tesla, fresh lows, 772. I got my trading view charts up here, guys, but Tesla, what do we think, 750? I don't know. We were looking at a daily chart this morning, Sean, and saying those best support levels on Tesla were sitting around that 600 area. So is that even a realistic possibility as I check back in and even see the ES now right on its low of the day as well?
Oh man, I need I need a drink. Okay, so Facebook right now, yeah, we'll look at Tesla in a minute, but I mean, I'm in basically an equal name here, I feel like, with Facebook as this name right here, rate to $200. I mean, this is just a psychological level. Do I think it's going to hold? Probably not. I don't even like when it sees 200, it's going to smoke it to the downside. But the bottom today is $200.11, and we're right there, right there. I'm still so peed off that I'm not still in that Qs trade. And I know you're a short Arun, so that's great for the futures. But that was such a good trade for me, and I gave it up. And now I'm battling longs because really, these are just the levels that I'm seeing. I mean, I'm seeing 200 here, and how do I not test it? Facebook's been great. Like, look at this short earlier, man. $200.06, or $206, sorry, 205.50, short, caught some longs, got out real quick out of that long, and then now back into the long one more time. The last time we were down here, we bounced all the way up to 202. Is that happening again? Does not look like it. The NASDAQ just touched 2% downside right now. So a 200 break, we're gone out of Facebook. And honestly, man, like this just keeps getting worse and worse and worse in this market. Like I'm expecting to have some kind of a nice headline come through about something. But no, man, Facebook, the reason why we're on this name, okay, here it goes. Now we're gone. But what we're thinking about with Facebook here, again, was the fact that, I still have some shares. Okay, that's good. Didn't get out of them all. But what I was thinking is that at some point, these stocks need to hold some of these levels, and it's not going to be today. The reason why we went into Facebook there, and AMD looks like it's going to come out same way, was the fact that the market's down 2+%, and here's Facebook right now only down 1%. So if the market had a chance to bounce, this was a name we wanted. But again, we're violating, I'm just kind of taking trades here just because, to be honest with you. It's kind of like we saw some levels that we liked, but we're well off. We're not being disciplined. We're not using any of our technical levels here. We're kind of just trying to play momentum, and so far not working. AMD's a little bit better, as that's still, it's getting close to breaking to the downside as well, as here comes 110 again. So, man, we're just in trouble here as the market right now. I believe we just took out those January 28th lows, so we'll have to check that out. But if not, it's getting very, very close to doing that. Update on something, Neil? Yeah,
speaking of fresh lows, by the way, the U.S.-listed VanEck Russia equity ETF extends losses down over 8%, and it's at its lowest since May 2020. And look, there's other ADRs out there that are down over that 10% mark, but this one, RSX in particular, look at the acceleration down to 19. So look, there are ways to express this trade and this headline risk that go a little bit beyond just oil. So there are Russian ETFs that we can be looking at. I know the futures trade has been fantastic to the short side, but if you're looking for exposure directly to some of these headlines, that RSX has been extending its losses to the downside and has been shortable. So you can trade that over here in the U.S.
Well, all right, let's talk about my trades. Everyone knows about the futures trade. I talked about this as we were coming on air, right? That's a short below 42.50. That was the level I gave you guys this morning. Wanted to make sure that we got the break. Once we get the break, can you guys see, barely see it on this screen? But anyways, there's a short here right around 42.50. That's sitting in, as of right now, that's a 12-point winner. We're going to leave that as is. Futures on its own, we're going to do its own thing. It's going to do its own thing. Even though with this kind of market that we're dealing with right now, I was able to actually pick, I want to talk about this trade because I took it this morning. It was one of the weirdest trades I've taken. It was odd. So CSGP decided to go for a short against 54, I think. Yeah, it was 54. I was shorting 49 through 50 against 54. Take the short, take half of 49, take another half of 51. It starts running against me, halt. I realized that this is not going to be a good look because my level that I was working with at 54 was going to get run over based on the way that it was moving. So as soon as it halted, I dumped my position and flipped to a long off of the open from the halt, got the 51.85 long, got all the way up to like 55 and change, and then I jumped, before we got, actually a few minutes after we came on air, I dumped the last little bit underneath 55.50. Given how weak this market has been, this stock has done really well, even though, yes, it's down on the day and whatnot, but it has done really well on the intraday trade, and it just baffles me a little bit at how well this market has been, this stock has been trading. Again, most of the volume, most of the action was this morning. It was just one of those weird trades where you go short and then you're like, oh, this is not going to be good. And then, okay, I see what's happening, flip around. So just because one trade isn't good, don't give up on the other side of the trade. Remember, I always come on and I say, you know what, we're going to work with one level. If the level breaks, we have two trades, right? We have the trade in front of it, and if the level breaks, we have the opposite trade. In this case, going for the short was a primary read, but based on the way it was trading, you flip directions and you are able to capture the other side of the move. And in this case, because I was able to capture the other side of the move, I'm actually positive on it. So it's just one of those things. Don't give up on your reads. Don't give up on your levels. Just because you took a hit, it doesn't mean that it's over with, right? Regardless of what you're trading, just make sure that when it comes to execution, you execute what you need to do, what you need to trade. And however your strategy applies, just apply it. Don't worry about the numbers. Apply it. And then if it's not working, then later on you can make some tweaks. Give it like maybe a week or two. If it's not working, make some tweaks and try it again. And then that's just trading for you. Because I actually did the same trade on TJX as well. And I was in this trade for a while. And then Prad was, it was on Prad's show. I was like, you know, this thing's moving. This thing's moving aggressively. So it was essentially the same trade as CGSP. It was a short around 60.50, which I held from 9.20 pretty much until like 11.25. It didn't look good. We got that snap up through 62. That was my level. Got out, took the hit, and then flipped around, went long. So I lost $1.50 on the short, but then flipped around, went long. And then as you can see, I got out near the top here at 65 on half of it and the rest at 63.5. So again, a loss, broke my level, flipped directions, covered my loss with the win, and here we are kind of just away from this trade now. So again, don't give up on your levels just because it's gone against you. Whatever the read is, stick with it.
Yeah, I'll take it now. I don't know if we're ever going back to Neil or not. It's almost power hour in which Arun and I will take sort of the command here. And shout out to Neil for covering for Brendan, who's fine, taking the afternoon off. Yep. He'll be back in the saddle tomorrow. And again, thank you, Arun, one more time for coming through today, as I know our viewers do like it when we're together, when you're with Prad, when you're with Neil. Definitely some great insight there. And on that note, man, I'm sticking. And oh, you know what? We didn't do any graphics here. Let's go like this. We'll dab it up there for Arun and I, although those are two white hands. Neil's talked about that with the belly dancing skit there. But look at AMD. We stick with our read, man. And this is very, very important to me because sometimes I get out of trades a little too early. Look, that Facebook trade that hit our level, so we get out when that breaks. I'll always do that. But, sticking with this, we could have easily dumped our AMD. And I don't know if this is going to work or not, but it allows us to come back up and take a little bit of a winner there on part of the AMD trade. And now we're long, obviously, at 66. I'm feeling like I should take one more piece out here, maybe in the high 70s if we could get one more. And then we're going to hold, man. 111 breaking, that's what we're looking for. And then maybe we can get back up here and turn our day completely around on some of these trades that we've made recently for you. So hopefully AMD will get that. I actually also was bidding 30s, but I didn't do it until, unfortunately, we did that IBM, that dividend thing there. And then when I came back, I was like, oh my God, because we got stopped out of Facebook. And I was like, oh, what am I going to do with AMD? Should have reloaded that even more down here at 110. But then again, if the market keeps crashing, then we're stopped out again. So, some days are going to be like this, man, where you're just battling the market back and forth. That's why we had that joke about give me a drink, because, it's just back and forth all day here, and it's stressful. As there's Facebook, man, that's I still have a small amount of shares just because I just didn't calculate properly. We're out of pretty much the whole trade. I still have 20% left, but Facebook, new 52-week lows, and honestly, I did not see this one coming. I remember when we had O'Leary on the show, and it was down to like 230, 240. That's Kevin O'Leary, and he's like, everyone's buying this name up. And, he's not the only one. We're not throwing anybody under the bus here. It's just like I was thinking this was going to head back to the upside as well. But they're kind of a poison, man, Facebook, with Instagram and with some of these other, FTC always looking at them, threatening to move out of Europe and all this stuff, ads being pulled, Reels not performing as well as they thought. Anyways, it's a brand new 52-week low here, taking out $200. I don't know where Facebook finds a bottom. This March, if we go back down to COVID lows, then honestly, that to me makes no sense. But we've been wrong on names before, and it looks like Facebook is just another one. To add that crystal ball Arun back in the summer, you could have had Facebook. It's cut in half from that high. And I didn't see any of this coming. I mean, maybe if you break right here, this 300, that could have been a way out, but you couldn't have got out because they were up here at 327 and then earnings came and it was 260 the very next day. So Facebook in a world of hurt. And honestly, man, I don't see any relief for this name, but that's a name that we had to get out of ASAP when we took that down. And here we go. Here we go. AMD upside right now, back into the money on this trade. Let's see if we can't. Well, we just did. We just got another piece out of AMD there. So another piece out. Let's see if we can climb. Next offer, 1150.
All right. One update with the futures. I have taken some out on the futures. It was a 10-point winner. So short just underneath 50, get out around 40 or so. I've dumped some. The reason being, I don't like what's happening here. It was a nice little flush through that 40 level, but given the time that we're at right now, time of day, we're about 10 minutes before 3 o'clock. There's a lot of shorts on the table, right? So at some point, there's going to be a cover run that's going to have to happen. Everyone that's short is going to want to get out, and usually when you trigger something like that, it's an aggressive move to the upside. So although we've moved hard and fast through that 50, I'll take what I can. As soon as I start to see it hesitate, especially around this time, I'm going to start to take some profit. So that's what I'm doing right now. I've taken some profit on the futures here, locking that 10 points on some of it, and then we're going to let the rest ride. We're just going to let it go. Even if they run it, even if there's a covering rally that happens, I'm okay because my stop on this trade for me to take the short is 42.90. So I'm willing to let it go up, and I'll fade more into that 90 if necessary. But for the time being, I do need to lock in profit because I am worried about what could happen if we get to that point where the switches go off and there's a nice little run to the upside. Now, you were mentioning, Sean, about COVID lows.
Yes.
Made me think about some stocks that I was trading earlier today that it was, it's been kind of beaten up. Moderna, not my favorite stock, but it's kind of gotten to a point where I can actually trade it. Moderna is one of those names where I was trading it right here through 138, and then I finally dumped it through 137.50. So what I wanted to show you guys, and just keep an eye on this. We may trade this tomorrow, another day, but look at what we just did on Moderna. Nice little break through that 140, finally getting through the lows from about January the 24th. This could open up the door for Moderna, so definitely a setup on Moderna, something to be looked at for sure. Maybe the trade's not today, like I said, but it could be setting up something else. Neil?
We're just going to keep you guys abreast of some headlines coming through here. Now, Biden has announced sanctions on the company building Russia's Nord Stream 2 pipeline. You were talking about negative sentiment. Worth keeping in mind, this $11 billion pipeline, Germany already halted on Tuesday based on those actions. But the broader tone here is, looks like sanctions are going to be hitting that energy sector, and the dependence in Europe on natural gas, specifically coming from Russia and specifically for Germany, is likely to weigh on Germany's production capacity. So people talk about getting into energy names and that strength in the market. Still negative headlines coming through, even with that futures bounce. So just yet another one, these sanctions, as they start to flow through, we'll update you of those. I don't think it's a major headline, given that Germany had already stalled this yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I guess we had switched over. I guess we switched oil over. When is the futures flip over?
It's not
only
a 3 month.
3 weeks.
It should have been.
Futures must be monthly. I don't know. So,
no, it's not.
Yeah, because 88 is not right. So,
I'll get it for you.
yeah, H is not right. So I was looking here because H today, oh, no, now I can't even do anything with my contracts. We go to M. H22 for oil right now. I know oil's closed at 230, but still, it doesn't make any sense why we didn't have any ticks here all day on this chart. My charts are just messed up.
J.
It's J right now?
J,
Okay,
yeah.
so J, K? K, Neil says, okay. CLK 22. So let's see, $90, that makes sense. Let's just see what oil is here on e-signal. CLF dollars, CL $F here on e-signal. I know we're just wasting time, but we're trying to figure this out. $91, nah, this is not even.
It's J. It's J. April contract is J.
It is J. Okay, so there we go.
May.
There it is. K is May. So here we go. So that makes sense because I was thinking it was $92. So there's oil today, $92. You know, on that news, obviously shutting down the different pipelines. This is like nutso today, these charts. A big move up to $94 right off the open as the market was heading one way, oil heading the other. And now obviously we're closed. You see some big prints here at 230, but $91.90, $92. Oil continues to make a nice move. So yeah, we don't have any, my charts are completely frozen now, but I feel like oil at these levels, man, it's probably undervalued. I mean, all this talk, if Russia goes in, I mean, I'd like to look at it more of a longer term play, but I'm still in that XLE, which is ZEO, sort of equivalent there in Toronto. So that's something that I'm looking at, and I think we got to stay long oil and energy names for now.
I mean, look at I feel like we talked about this before, maybe on the midday show when I was on there. The trend of oil has been absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Right. For the last couple of months now, since we hit that, we broke through that 75. So we hit that 70 and we broke through that 75. It's just been a straight trend. And this is what you're looking at on the daily. This is a consolidated chart of all the futures contracts for crude, by the way. But we've essentially gone from 74 to 94. Maybe one every other day, once every 3-4 days, we kind of go down a little bit, and that's just by barely, and then we continue on. And that's kind of the trend. Now we're sitting, you can see the hesitation, right? We're sitting near 90, 96 to 100. We're getting closer and closer to the 100, so more volume is coming in on the resistance. Even if oil were to go down, let's just say down to 85, you got to deal with October's previous resistance areas. You know everyone's going to be looking at it. So oil would have to essentially break 80 to break this uptrend. And the way things are going, with all the headline risk, it's like, at what point do you think this is going to turn around? I'm sure there will be a time when trends break. Trends break all the time, but in this current environment, with the outlook of what energy is going to look like, from the supply side at least, it's going to be a problematic thing to be like, you know what, the trend's breaking soon. So the way it's looking, it looks like they're going to be consolidating in front of that 100, and once 100 goes, big round number, is going to open up the door. For anyone who doesn't know, crude contracts, every penny that the crude futures move, it's $10, $10 US for every penny that crude moves. So even though the range on today's crude contract is like 93.80 to like 90, it's like $3. $10 times $3, $10 times 3 is what the true range is. So, and somebody was mentioning, oh, my charts are getting hidden. Yeah, that's because I'll just start using these charts, because I think once I maximize, it gets cut off at the bottom. So I'll just move it up top, and I'll keep it like this, so you guys can see any charts that I'm working with. Like I mentioned, futures contracts, I've dumped some in front of 40. It's good that we're kind of stalling out. We're not snapping back just yet, but I am going to keep an eye on this, because I do worry, and that's the only worry I have right now, is that in the event that we were to people are short. I'm short. A lot of people are short. At what point on the intraday side do you take profit? Right? At what point are you willing to take the risk to hold overnight? That's so many questions that not everyone wants to do or want to answer. So if they're in the event that people want to cover, you might have a buy rally, and that's what I kind of worry about, especially being short and being short not too long ago. So yes, 10 points in the money is a great thing, but at the same time, there's an hour left, and this market, as shown yesterday, can really do some damage in a very small amount of time. So definitely keep an eye out. If you are short, protect as much as possible on the gain size that you have right now, because if you're holding for overnights, that's one thing. But if you're holding to kind of capitalize and maximize as much as you can make on the day, hey, cash out when you start to see the tides change a little bit, especially on a day like today where we've gone from 43.05 down to 42.70 since 42.30 since 12 o'clock. So the second half of the day has been straight to the downside, right? So just watch out as we get into the final hour. Actually, it's like 3 o'clock right now.
Yeah, we're getting close. It's power hour time.
There you go.
And right now, AMD is powering up because we are reloaded, and bang, there on AMD as we go to the upside right now, trying to take out this 50-period moving average. We did reload AMD. Good trade for me here on the bottoms. I mean, good thing, good riddance, Facebook, on trying to catch bottoms on FB. We're still up on the stock, Facebook, so it's all good on that. But still, where was my offer here? I thought we had, oh my God, we had 84s. It went to 82. Okay, let's hope this can go back up to the upside. We are now 25 cents in the money on AMD, and I don't want to scalp too much out, man. This is what happened to me earlier when we had that big Palantir run to the upside, when we had that big move on the Qs to the downside. We took too much out too early, but a little bit of a different situation here because the market is tanking and I'm long. So I think a scalp, just like Arun said, taking some off on the futures to try to hold something to the short side. I'm wondering if I should almost do the opposite here with these AMD trades, and that is get out every time it pops up, put that money in our pocket, and then work with lower lows to see if we can catch better longs. But again, we'll wait to see what does this market want to do here. We have imbalances, which you guys know is pretty important for us here. We show them every single day. So those imbalances come out at 350. So 50 minutes to go until we see where the market on close orders are going to be located. So that's obviously pretty important. Oh, shoot. Apple. Oh, man. I remember when I sold Apple at 158, and I was like, oh, man, this was a really bad buy. Well, guess what? I don't think I would have sold anything on the high side, and we're almost right there again. This sucks because I said that as long as we're up here north of 170, Apple's okay. And in the last week, I mean, the market's okay. And in the last week, this is what's starting to turn around the NASDAQ, man. A lot of these big cap names are starting to now roll over, and that just hadn't happened before. This is actually pretty scary. I'm not happy with a lot of these moves. My long-term account is fine. We're down about 10% overall. I checked it out yesterday, so it's fine. No problems there. It's just like some of these names continue to spit. Maybe it's like 12 or 13% maybe after today, but they continue to spit down. Watch out for Apple. Watch out for Mr. Softy. And remember, just not too long ago, wow, 280. Oh, I love this price. I'm gonna have to buy some more Softy soon. 280, great level. But like Apple, look, we are well off of the 50-period moving averages on a lot of these names. So instead of like trying to catch falling knives and falling swords here, look at this today. Like this was 292 at the open, guys. We're all the way down $10, which on 280 isn't that much. It's just the fact that it's straight down. Like this is the one, look, we tried it. We actually, are we up on, yeah, we're up on Microsoft today. Wow, okay. By the skin of our teeth, we're up here. Because right here, we try to defend 288. It's on the sticky note. 288 is what we liked. But again, I need to start to think more for shorts. Wow, the market is tanking right now as AMD's about to come out. Like, bye-bye. If this takes us out, cancel my offer so I don't do the same thing that happened on Facebook. There's 110 flat right now, and this stock is down in the dumps, man. The market just taking out there it is. The market taking out lows. I'm actually fine with that trade. AMD, small loser for me. We were able to scalp out that. at. There you go. So there's the dump out. And like we said, Arun, you talked about holding on to the shorts, and I was like, maybe we should do the same thing with the longs. Get out anytime we have a winner and wait for lower prices because eventually they're coming in. Wow, there's AMD through that 110. We were just celebrating. Your boy Prad was so happy to have this stock at 101 or whatever it was, and then it goes all the way up to me too, all the way up to 130, and now right back to 110 again. There's really no love for this market.
Nope. I mean, I can't complain though. I mean, 20-point winner on the future side of things.
Take it.
There's
a bang for you.
No, I got mine somewhere here. There it is. This is mine.
God.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
There it is. It's still there.
Boom.
And it explodes the cash.
That's the sniper shot of the futures.
The key thing is the cash.
The cash.
I like
money.
the cash flying.
I do like the fact that
I like the cash flying out of it.
Yeah, the piñata.
Perfect. Very good.
Money coming out
how
of
is
the
your Spanish coming? I know you're.
It's coming along.
Yeah?
Yeah. I
confident?
1 full year. I can. You know what? If people speak at a moderate pace, I can keep up. But if you get to the native speakers, they just talk.
So we just hired Liz from Peru.
Ooh, okay.
So we do have somebody here, social media. We hired a social media person, I guess. I don't know, a role. So she's going to be kicking it live. Maybe we'll bring her on the show at some point, but watching the show, figuring that out. So now we do have native Spanish speaker in the building. So
there you go. I do want to point out one chart that I've been on for the 2 weeks that I was with Prad. We were looking at NVIDIA, and I kept mentioning NVIDIA 240, right? And I want to show you guys this chart on NVIDIA here. We were looking for the long side of NVIDIA. It worked for a week and a half, good. And then when I think it was a couple days after I kind of went off air, we kind of took that 240 and tried to regain ground on that 240. And as of today, we got as high as 241.55, and we just broke 230. NVIDIA looks like one of the charts that is going to be a stellar thing to work with as an intraday trade. If you're on the short side as a swing trade as well, but from the intraday side, man, look at this 240. That's going to provide a ton of action, especially for the 2 weeks that I was watching it around 240. There's a lot of volume there. So any shorts going into 240 should hold well. I think 250 stop, anything in the mid 230s could open up a short on NVIDIA. Definitely a chart that would be a good thing to look at because one, the amount of volume spent, two, the weight consolidated, and three, the fact that it broke and then tried to re-break back up and failed. As of today, it failed, right? So this is going to be something to look at. If you are NVIDIA long, I mean, sorry? I don't know. This is technically, this doesn't really help you out much because this is the chart you're dealing with now. An attempt to go up towards 270, which was a previous base, after breaking through 240, which was a previous resistance, and we failed that attempt. And then we try to regain ground above 240 and then failed again. So now what do you look at, 210, 200? I mean, like this stock does have space to the downside. It does look like an even round number would be ideal, but definitely keep an eye on NVIDIA if you're trading. And I mean trading from both sides, not just trying to catch something because it's cheap and then try to run it back up or something. I mean actually trading this from both the long side and the short side. At that point, I think this is definitely something to look at because NVIDIA, the chart looks stellar, and futures now just crossing that 42.20 mark. Next up, and this is the very last level I have on the futures. Let me pull up this chart here. This is the daily chart on the futures. The reason I bring this up, January 24th low, 4,200. That's your last attempt. If this market loses 4,200, which is about 30 points away.
Yeah.
It's wide open. Like even if I come on tomorrow and we were below 4,200, I have no new levels to give you guys, right? Because there's no support level. There's no support levels that I can work with. So 4,200 is the last support point for this market in the event that it wants to turn, maybe double bottom, maybe a flush. This is an option too. We can break through 4,200, hit some stops, maybe 6-7 points underneath, snap back up, and we can create a double bottom and then bounce up. That's a possibility. But if 4,200 gets underneath, they try to bounce, they fail, and they bring in more sell side volume, then that's a problem because technically that's not a good look on the futures, especially with the type of trend that we've had for a while. This kind of consolidation break, it's going to be a problem. And somebody was earlier mentioning death crosses. I mean, I don't really care for death crosses, but at the same time, 50 did cross under the 100. Anyone that's wondering, 50 moving average did cross under the 100. 200 still in play. But the only reason I even have these moving averages up because I want to know where institutional programs could be. But again, for death crosses, anyone looking at that, 50 is below the 100 now.
All right, I might as well just death cross myself because I went long again. So,
Oh my God.
hey, what's up, Liz? We just talked about you. Okay, Liz is in the building. Okay, so a nice move back up to the upside right there for us now as, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with NIO. It's down here at 50. That's a level that we should bounce off of. And again, like, it's not like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, why am I keep going long? I mean, we have some key levels here. And it's just like, if I can, like I said, if I could take a little bit of a position and try to scalp it out and make something back on a long, I agree. These futures are straight to the downside. I mean, Arun, great analysis, great talk there. We'll wait out for that 4,200. But honestly, we can bounce at some point here on NIO. We already tried the long when we started the show, and it's not actually that violent to the downside. So we'll see if we can get a break. We're in the money now, a whopping 2 pennies. So let's see, can we get this back up into the 60s? I do have an offer at 59, so we'll see if we can get some love at 59. But as you can see, the market trying to go back to the upside right now. AMD still below. Let's check back in on, like, we're still net positive on Facebook. It's just, it's unbelievable, you know, the ranges here. Like, we were short at 206, man. It's down to 199. I should still be short, and I'm not. So yeah, I am getting a little frustrated with some of my positions. And if you look at the Qs, it's kind of the same thing again. Like, look at this. Like, look at this trade that we had. I wonder if this is equivalent. When did you put your trade on, Arun? Was it
Futures?
early, like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock?
For the futures?
Yeah.
No, that was recent. That was after we came on the show.
That was after, okay, because I was wondering if we had the same ideas there around 12 o'clock, 12:30 for that trade. But okay, so that's the thing. Like, part of what I'm doing here, you know, it's a show. You know, so am I upset that we still don't have this? Yes. And you know, but I'm still pretty happy that we had the trade in the first place. It's the trade of the day. And I said this yesterday, and it got some good, you know, cred there on the chat. And it was that, you know, Arun, I've been here 20 years. You've been here 10, 12?
16, I
16, think. Jesus. 16 years old there. 16 years old. 16 years here. And, you know, we're still learning every single day. I think both of us are. I know Neil is. I know Brendan is. And it's just, you got to sort of say, I haven't seen markets like this in a very, very long time. And probably you guys haven't either, where it's just bleeding every single day. So part of me is wired to try to grab these longs. And when I see key levels, I'm like, oh, it'll bounce off there. Like, I'm looking right now at 330. What the hell does that have anything to do with the Qs? But I see 330, and I'm like, oh, maybe it bounces off 330. But why the heck would it want to do that right now? So I don't know, man. Tesla, Neil just put it in the chat. Tesla just breaks down through 770. Like, how easy of a trade was that? Breaking through 800. I mean, actually, wasn't that easy. It broke a little bit, goes up to 808 before flushing down to 808s and heartbreaks, down to 785, makes a move back up to 799, 800. Bounces downside down to 760. Tesla today down 7%. No love whatsoever for this market, man. The NASDAQ down 2.5%. And yuck, man. Where do I throw up? Hopefully not on you, Arun. What's up, Neil?
But hopefully no puking anywhere. But the market, you're right, Sean. I mean, the market's heading down. So just, I mean, the summary, I talked about the sanctions for that Biden announced, but you also have Ukraine has declared a state of emergency. They summoned citizens home from Russia. You know, worries are intensifying here. Look, it's, and the other headline, which I hesitate to even say, the Queen speaking to Boris Johnson, PM Boris Johnson, by phone because she has COVID. So if anyone's into that sort of thing, these markets heading south on that 765 on Tesla, fresh lows there. PayPal testing 100. Even, by the way, DraftKings. Someone asked, Sean, why aren't you short DraftKings? I'm asking myself why I didn't short DraftKings. DraftKings giving it back as well. In a falling market, even something squeezing is going to pull back on you.
Point out something, though. I feel like a lot of people, when in markets like this, they're caught long. You could hedge. It's not the end of the world. If you have index-based positions or you have stocks that are heavily indexed, at the top of the list, obviously Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Nvidia, Tesla, Google, all at the top of the weighting of the NASDAQ. If you want to go in that direction and you like your stock, but you don't like what's happening right now, it doesn't mean you have to dump it. You can hedge. And if you want to hedge and you don't want to go short, let's just say, why not go with the inverse ETF? You have the SQQQ, that's the ultra short, the triple ultra short, that plays against the S&P. S&P is down, or not the S&P, the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is down 2.4%. The SQQ is up 7.2% because it's the opposite direction. So anytime the market goes down, this thing goes up. So that's the inverse ETF that you can play if you want to go in the direction, the downside direction. You want to play that, hey, you know what, this market's going to fall, but don't feel comfortable shorting because there's a lot of, one, added risk, and two, there's a lot of complications related to going short, especially if you're at home and you have a brokerage account, margin, requirements, all that other stuff. And also you run the possibility of, hey, you know, this thing could gap up against you and you have unlimited risk, right? Or unlimited potential losses. That's all things that go into, hey, am I ready to go short? But if you don't feel comfortable, why not just take the inverse position? Hey, you know what, this market doesn't look like it's going to be a good day today. Let's go long in the SQQ because the market's going to go down. Instead of giving up entirely, saying, oh, this is bleeding out, you can make money on the downside. There's always money to be made. Doesn't matter the direction. Whether it's the upside or the downside, there's a way. This market has provided tools to play both directions, even if you can't short, open right short. You can just go long an ETF. And like I said, with the SQQ, there's also one for the Dow. There's also one for the spiders as well. So you just got to find them. And if you don't like the direction, if you don't like the fact that the market's down a lot and you think it's going to continue, why not buy some inverse ETFs?
One of my friends who says, because I used to use hedging for gambling, you know, like when you have, for example, let's just say you have the Raptors -7 or something, and they're killing the other team. You could take the other team plus 20 or whatever and hedge in the middle. But I say hedging is for gardeners. Because you know why? It's super hard to put on a good hedge. For me, I could never do it. It's almost like, you know, you need to have a really strong conviction of that almost early. Because I feel like right now, Arun, and I think you're right, with SQQ and some of those, maybe even the VIX might be a good idea. The only problem is if you start hedging with options and things like that, I know that's not what you said, but I know that's what some people were talking about, and that is that the implied volatility is so huge right now, right? And so that's, you know, it's like I'm long Facebook at 330. It's almost impossible. I'm not, but I'm just saying, like, if you're caught in some of these longs, can be tough to do, but I agree, man. That would have been the wise thing. And we had Daniel Shea on. What day is it today? Wednesday. She's on tomorrow. And she was talking about that as well. And it was like, how the hell do you get out of the way on some of these moves? They're just, especially when they happen off earnings, very tough to do. But the writing was on the wall of some of these moves, right? We had hyperinflation. They can't control it. Now you get some BS war. I don't care. I'll say that. It doesn't seem to make any sense to me what's happening. And again, I'm not part of it, so I don't know. But again, look at NEO going to the upside. Okay, I see you, NEO. Let's take some off right now as NEO starts to go back up to the upside. All right, this is a big position for me, so we're pretty happy taking this. So let's see if we can't make some money on this one here. I need to make some money back, my friend. So today, that's what we're going to try to do. Make a little bit of this cash back here as NEO nicely done to the upside here. Way back in the money now, so let's take a little bit more off. But good talk on hedging. I just wanted to get that hedging is for gardeners because I heard someone say that one time. Edward Scissorhands, good movie. You've seen Edward Scissorhands?
A long time ago.
Johnny Depp, good movie there. Okay, here we go. NEO to the upside. Let's see if we can take this out. $20.70. That's what we're looking for. Some nice outs so far. And when I say that, I put an offer out and take some more shares out. We got to get out of our longs, man. They haven't been great. Let's see if we can capitalize on this bump in the market.
Yeah, going back to I noticed there's some questions about the inverse ETFs. Couple of things. Somebody's saying that, you know, their gains in the ETF doesn't offset the losses. But there's a ratio. Remember, the index is created with a ratio of stocks, right?
Right.
At the top of the list, you have Apple at 10%. You have Apple at 12%, Microsoft at like 10 or 11%. You got to figure out what the ratios are. So if you're going to hedge, you need to buy the right amount of shares for the amount of shares in the index stock that you have. It's a mathematical calculation you're going to have to do. It's not like a 1-for-1 because then you're going to be overweight somewhere else. So you do have to do the math. If you're going to go down that road, you do have to do the math so that in the event that you want to hedge, you're taking the right amount of shares. And then it actually works out as a hedge and not as a completely different position in the event that you try to go overweight somewhere else, right? So just be aware that you do have to do the math on that case, in that situation. Now, futures, making a little bounce. Not much of a bounce, but a little bounce, just enough to make me think, you know what, I remember we dumped some. Let me get a better chart on this because this doesn't actually show, again, it cuts off at the bottom, right? So let me actually get you guys on let's say a 5-minute chart. That'll be good enough. So we are short right, this is a 5-minute chart? Okay. We are short right about here, right? Actually, I can probably put an arrow down. And somebody earlier was asking, hey, is this real money? Well, yeah, it's a prop trading firm. We're trading real money, and I think it'd be ridiculous for us to sit here and pretend to trade with paper money for 6 hours. And
wait a second, this is real money?
I mean, like,
oh shit.
At what point? I mean, like, if that's what's happening on some other channels, that's kind of sad. I'm just gonna say, but at the same time, we're trading real money. This affects my bank account at the end of the month, so I need to be on top of my game. So
wait a second, bro.
What's that?
This is real money?
This is real money. You didn't know?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, Okay, Sean's going to have to get his idea around, or his head around the idea. Get his head around the idea that this is real money. We're not trying to build monopoly hotels or anything with this. Yeah, absolutely real hotels now. But again, back to the future short of things. We're short around here, right? And now we dumped some around 42.40 because, 10 points, worried about a potential cross up at the end of the day. But now we're starting to really play with this 42.30 level. So I'm going to tighten things up. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the day. I'm worried about shorts looking for the exit door at the same time. At what point do I get out of the way? I'm going to give it a chance, but I am tightening up the window of how much further back I'm willing to let it go. So up until this point, I was sitting back at like 90, right? I was taking profits and I was sitting back at 90. Now with the 18-point winner and we're running out of time, let's just kind of tighten things up. We're worried about shorts getting out, and so we are going to walk away. That's the only position I have. Apart from the positions I've talked about, none of my positions, because it's Neil's position board, none of my positions are up there.
Ah, that makes sense.
Right? So my futures position is the only one I have. I've talked about the previous ones that I've taken. Futures-wise, I'm sitting on a short at 42.49, and I've dumped half to 42.40 half. And I'm holding on to the rest, and right now it's a 20-point winner. And as I manage, we'll talk more and more about this, but it does look like the market wants to take another look at the low, which is 42.24 quarter.
Stop saying that as the market goes to new lows. Darn it. Look, this is why, man, and we were doing that. We're just playing around. Of course, we're trading real money. We've talked about that over and over again on the show, and honestly, anybody asking that, I don't know. And there are other shows out there that don't do that. But we have a live trading floor in the back. We are hiring. Actually, if we have that Gregory thing, I could do that again if we do have it, Lucas. But if not, that's fine. Do not worry about it. I know today we're undermanned a little bit. But we are going to be hiring. We do have Wave. If Luca or Brandon can see, Wave, there he is. There's Brandon. What's up, Brandon? There he is. Yeah, the traders are back in the building right now. And we know we'd love to have anybody come visit. We had Levi visit from Vancouver the other day. So find out, let us know if you want to come through the office and you can see me trade paper account, just playing around. There it is. Email Gregory. Thank you, Tim and Lucas. Gregory M at selectvantage.com. We are starting to hire again. So, and we will, I think we're talking about having an interview with Greg, but I don't know if we need to. Send your resumes ASAP, as we do have about 20 or so seats in the back to fill. And we have to tell you, if you do come here, you're going to have to listen to me all day, which isn't necessarily a good thing. So get ready to rock and roll on that one. Yeah, I see what you're saying there, Mike. There goes half your life savings. Oops, I went on a rant there. I doubt it. There, if we can show the super chat here quickly, and then we'll go over to Neil here. What's up, Mike? If we can show the screen, please. There we go, thank you. And there we go, $5. Thanks, Mike. There goes half my life savings. I hope the $5 wasn't half your life savings. Laced Up Souls, thank you so much for the kicks. Today I have on my Air Force Ones, but they're the neon black ones. So that's that. Neil with some news, what's up?
Not going to be about the Air Force Ones. Oh, there we go. Not going to be about any Air Force Ones. Those are good looking shoes, by the way, as I can see them. But hey, the market is moving to the downside. There are a few things moving up, and I sort of roll my eyes. Camber Energy, which you might have heard Trader Pratt talk about, making fresh highs. It's a penny stock, but I know some people look at this name just breaking out in the afternoon here. It's above that 50-cent psychological mark. Making a fresh move to the high of the day here. So if you're looking for something that's breaking momentum-wise, right now it seems like it's those small caps. It was that AMTD, which was going upside, and now you have Camber Energy making some moves. Other than that, I mean, it's the same old overall in the market. Actually, Valeria and I were just having a discussion about the conflict and how there's a headline every 2 seconds, because I'm not even going to read them all. I'll put some of them in the chat, but you get these tit and tat coming out of Ukraine, and overall, none of them are positive.
Well, that's what this market environment is going to be like. It's going to be headline driven. There's going to be, at any point, there's going to be a headline risk to your trade. And if you're wondering why all of a sudden this trade was in the money and now it's not and it's against you big, hey, know the environment you're playing in. So this is the game you want to play in this kind of market. That's what it's going to be. So be prepared for that. It does look like the market's finding some stability around this 42.30. Like I mentioned, I am tightening things up just because I'm worried about what the covering would look like. I'm starting to notice that not just the futures, but it does look like overall we are starting to stabilize slightly. Obviously, we're down. We're still down. What are we down? 2.32% on the NASDAQ and 1.63% on the S&P. So a decent chunk of downward movement. And I think the big thing here is that it's been a solid trend in the afternoon. This is kind of what we've been actually, again, this chart is cut off by the bottom screen, so I'll just go here. This is what the chart looks like for the afternoon. That's about 12:30. That was pretty much the high of the, I guess, the afternoon. And then here we are sitting near 42.30 now. So a nice little move, if you want to call it nice, but it is a decent move of 70 points or so from that top down to where we are now. And we've still got a half an hour left. We've still got imbalances to come out. We've still got earnings aftermarket for some names. And of course, we have the headline risk that can move these markets overnight. So all of these put together, you do have to be very, very careful on what you're trading, how you're trading it, and where your stop losses are, because you need exit points. You need to know when you're wrong at any point in time, just like any other trade, though. But this is even more crucial because if a stock snaps on you, like let's just say all of a sudden the stock snaps like $2 on you, instead of being a deer that's like just
headlights.
Yeah, a deer in the headlights, then you know where you need to get out. Just get out.
Yep.
Right? Instead of just being like, oh, what do I do? What do I do? And then it's getting worse and worse for you. So already have a plan in place before you get involved. Neil?
Hey guys, it's like o'clock, just around 30 minutes left until the end of this trading day. And I remind you to smash that like button, guys. Likes are absolutely free for you, but mean so much for Trader TV Live team and of course for the community. So guys, 3,400 people are watching. We need your support. Back to you guys.
Right. Darn it, man. We missed it, but we'll spin it. Because finally, there's some money coming through here. And yeah, the market now is starting to pop upside. We could check back on our AMD, but really, AMD is still below 110, so we still did good to get out of that one and switch our game over to NIO. Let's see how far we can go now. The part that I was upset about here was not reloading. We tried 52s, we tried 54s, we never got filled. We should have just whacked the bid or whacked the offer there and got long. Bang, there it is again. Let's go, man, to the upside as the money's coming in on NIO here, starting to fall through. So nice little move back up to $20.70, exactly where we thought. We should have reloaded. That sucks that we didn't. But right now, this is that deer in headlight moment that Arun was talking about, because sometimes you got to be ready to pull the trigger. And, when it breaks certain levels, you got to say, okay, this is for me, the long, the short, whatever. But look what just happened. The market ripped up there and then stopped at the 50 period again. So the only other time it did this, if you look at my Qs trade, it actually stopped me out and then took another leg down. So here's, pardon all these wicks up here. Maybe I shouldn't trade the Qs just for that reason. But you could see right here, there's the short. We held it until the 50 period broke, got out. So that's a short at 337. Our out is 334.50, but it was a break of the 50 period that got us out. And then that just happened again. So it didn't break the 50 period. I mean, it did a little bit here, but whatever. Rode it all the way to the downside. That's a clean break and then a retracement back down in. So there we go right there. Look, the people's trader is going to ask a question right now, and that is who do the people want on the closing bell? So we have Valeria, and I believe we have Tony the Tiger back there on the ones and twos. So let's see. You guys put it in there. Valeria, Tony the Tiger for the bell ringer coming through. But here we go, Neo. Maybe it's time to take another piece out here on NIO. Look, there's still 30 minutes until the bell. So let's see where we go from here. Maybe the market reverses back down in, but we're at a point now that is a breaking point for me in these futures. We either remain above or we start to climb back to some more reasonable levels.
All right, I'm looking at the chat. People are saying, Arun, yeah, that's not happening. I've got trades to make, and I've got fake money to make as well for my fake bank account. So I'm gonna stay at this desk. So I'm out. Sean's trading as well, so he's out. He's got to make back the money supposedly.
Thousands of dollars I've lost.
That he thought that was not real. So so he's out, and Neil's
Thank God
at the
it's
desk.
not real.
So we've got choices between Tony, we've got Platinum Prad, or we got Valeria. You guys.
Oh yeah, Platinum Prad.
There you go.
No,
You guys.
Platinum Prad might. He'll have positions too.
Oh, okay. So Prad's out. So Valeria, what's that? Oh, okay. Or we
Well, we
have.
didn't ask Liz.
Okay, fine. You
out
can't
of
put her
this
on the
deal.
spot. It's too early to put her, throw her in the fire just yet. So it's going to be between Valeria and Tony. Pick one of the two. There you guys go.
Yeah. Valeria Valeria's putting a poll up right now. So the People's Trader, if you guys can make a better, actually someone sent me a really sick People's Trader one. I'm gonna find that one out for you again, but I really like this. What about SoFi? There it is, Miss V. I think Ms. V might win this one. Sorry about that, Tony the Tiger. Okay, what did I want to look at? Oh, SoFi. SoFi right now trying to make a move back through $10, but ultimately failing again at $10. It just failed at $9.98. Tried to go off these futures. We're sitting here on NIO and just rinsing some of these out, man. Like Arun said, we're trying to, or like I've been saying too, taking profits when they're there. I don't know if this long is going to come in or not for us, but right now we have 20 minutes until the imbalances come out, and this is the imbalances. There's nothing right now. You see NYSE, and now these might be some halts. AMTD, did that ever halt? And then another one, halted multiple times. So AMTD, a multiple halter there. So last time was 313. And then we had a NASDAQ halter there too. BWV, I guess, halted. But these are the imbalance locators. And at 350, it will load up with a bunch of NASDAQ and New York names. And then we'll be able to tell you which way this market, hell yeah, is starting to go. What am I even doing? Screw the imbalances. Let's start ringing the Reggie on some of these trades here. As there goes Neil, man. Yes, sir. Big trade for me today. Neil bringing me all the way back right now. So really happy with this trade. We put on a big trade down here. And this is what we're talking about. Like, look, I'm going to swing and miss all of the time. Well, not all the time, but sometimes we swing and we miss, okay? We did that a couple of times today. But when you find a key level, and I said this is the problem with being a bull in these markets, is that sometimes you kind of got to take your lumps when the market isn't acting properly. But when you find some stock that we liked, we tried NEO here, and then right down here, this is 5 times the shares. 5 times the share position down here. Why? Because we had an out that we liked, $20.50. So that's the difference, right? Where's my out here? 20.89 I went long. Then I went long again at 20.75. The out was 20.70 break. Not good enough. Down here, 20.50, we find a level and we take advantage, and there it is, nicely taken to the upside. But we still got to get out because this market could turn around again.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the market turning around, I'm worried about that. Can you guys see that? Yeah. Okay, you guys can see that. I've completely flattened out now. Oh, okay, maybe not. But I am flat now on the futures. I've walked away. I'm worried about what could happen in terms of covering. So I've gotten some out in front of 42.40, and that was earlier. And now I've gotten some out in front of 42.35. And we're just going to wait it out. It is falling back towards the lows, it looks like, but I'm okay giving that up for the time being. I may re-enter a short later on, but for the time being, I'm okay not being in a position just because it just bugs me how strong this 42.30 is. And given the time of day, I have to respect the strength. So for now, we are going to walk away and be flat on the futures. It does look like downside momentum is coming back in. So for the time being, be very, very careful. Remember, we've got about less than 20 minutes before we get these imbalances. And depending on which direction they come out, I mean, the markets are down quite big, so they might be on the sell side. No confirmation on that yet. We'll see after they are released. But for the time being, it does look like downside aggression is starting to pick back up. They're still defending that 42.30. You might get pops here and there. It just bounced from 42.30 to 42.38. So 8-point bounce on less than 5,000 contracts. Not a whole lot of volume. It doesn't take much in this market to move it. If you guys want to see what that looks like, I'll show you guys what the level 2 looks like. That's what the level 2 looks like.
Thin.
Very, very thin. You might get 50 contracts on one level.
I was just going to ask you, based on your experience, let's just take this back 3 or 4 years. What kind of size would have there been? Would it
You can get triple. Yeah, you can get triple digits, hundreds. In the last year, I want to say hundreds will be far in between. You probably
when
get
did this start? Like new year?
Well, anytime volatility picks up, you're going to see volume. 100 contracts. If you do the math on 100 contracts, remember each contract is about as of right now, is about $210,000 for one contract, right?
Yeah.
You multiply that by 100. That's how much value or money you need to put up. Obviously, if you're at a retail account, if you need accounts, if you're trading futures, if you're trading on margin, then it's like you got to pay only a portion of that just to trade it. But at the end of the day, you are controlling roughly 200K or 210K now of stock by trading these futures. So multiply that by 100, and that's how much value is in a 100 contract position. So be aware that these markets are very, very thin, especially on the future side of things. I mean, this is not as thin as I've seen it. I've seen it much worse than this.
Well, I think at 350, like at actionable spots, probably thins out.
No, even like throughout the day on like certain time periods when the market was very, very volatile.
Yeah.
I've seen like 20,
like 10s?
10s, 20s on the S&P contract. And if I were to quickly go over to the NASDAQ, this is what you're getting on the NASDAQ. 3s and 4s.
Yeah.
So good luck to you guys if you're taking any size on the futures. It does look like market's trying to respect this 30 for the time being.
It is.
For the time being.
Yeah, we have 20-cent winner here on NIO. I just want to call up just great education one more time. Shout out to Arun. Let's go cha-ching there. We have the cash register. Thanks, Arun, for that noise there. Okay, spiders. I just want to talk about it because if you are in that situation where your broker doesn't offer the margin or doesn't go 10-to-1 on your equity or something like that in order to trade a futures account, buying power margin, however you want to talk about it, you can trade the SPY. So that is the spiders ETF. It is the S&P 500. It moves identical with it. So you can see the spiders down 1.5%. So is the ES. So they move identical. So that's something else that you can look at if you're trapped at all with the spiders and so on and so forth with some of those names. So that's something you can look at. Okay, we did empty out. And we're getting ready to lock and load. Like I feel like I may short this market heading into the close here. That's NEO. I don't want the 1 day. I want the 1 minute. We were lucky enough again to get out in the 70s, and we just took a piece out 74 just now, and then more out 68, more out 69, and then I might as well put another offer out right now. So there it goes. It rips right through me through 66, and we take that offer. So there it goes to the outside. Today, $93 in fees with about 200 trades. So a lot of trades today, $93 in fees. And some of the time, like if I offer 100 shares here on BATS, ARCA, NASDAQ, there's different gateways, you'll get paid about $2 per 1,000 shares. So that's how we add liquidity. And I saw somebody say today, like, oh, they're only making money because we're adding liquidity. I mean, honestly, like to get $1, you get $2 per 1,000 shares. So if I go long at 65 and get out at 64 on 1,000 shares, that's minus $10. So just for the fact that it runs over me and I collect that $2, it's still minus $8. I mean, but at the same time, you need to have gross winners, and the fees do help. So they do help add it. Wow, I cannot, like me and Brenda, $80. Okay, it is now $89. So, I mean, if you think that, some of these stocks, oh, they've already been cut in half. They can't go in half again. Well, guess what? This went in half once down here and then in half again. So, now is Square going to $40? Probably not. It was funny because I used to say that I had a $35 print in my account for Square, because I do, and my average price is $50 on Square. But unbelievable how much this thing pulled back. I never thought that my $50 would come into question at one point, but it looks like it is. What's up, Neil?
And the reason that some of those valuations are coming in, I put some of this in the chat for you guys. I didn't want to interrupt with headlines, so I made sure you guys had them out here. But the Fed's daily was making some comments, and he said it's time to move away from Fed's extraordinary support of the economy. The magnitude of the hikes will depend on how the economy and data evolve, i.e., let's watch every single inflation print and make sure that the job market is going strong. But also, the economy is doing well. The labor gains have been broad-based. That's another sign that we're going to be on target for the exact line of hikes that everyone's anticipating. And another key point here, you said inflation is too high and is spread beyond COVID-affected sectors. So it's not just about supply chain issues. It's more embedded in the markets. That coming in about 3:30. The market was rallying at that point, but it just goes right down the line saying we're in a different world here. The environment has changed. And you're getting every single time one of these members speak that isn't Powell, it just feels like the accelerating rate hikes and that runoff of the balance sheet is coming quicker than people are pricing in. But those are just comments from Daily.
Yeah.
All right. So as we get closer, we talk about, I kind of do this rundown anytime I'm here anyways. Imbalances. We're talking about imbalance. For anyone who doesn't know, at 350, usually there's imbalances released for the North American market. What they mean is any sort of orders that are left that need to be done on with an on-closing tag. So you can attach certain order types to whatever order you send. If you send an on-close order and you're trying to capture the official closing price, it gets inserted into this little book that gets executed right at the end. And at 350, we get to see what the size of that book looks like, right? As long as your broker or whoever you're with can get you that feed. Now with Day Trader World, it's built into our software, so I can easily just go over here, look at New York, and at 350, I'll get an update for New York. I'll do New York and NASDAQ, why not, right? And this is what it looks like for the time being. I know you guys can't see the stocks. It doesn't really matter. Actually, you know what? It does matter because you do need to see the columns. So let's just kind of quickly go over this, make some changes. Essentially what this does is allows you to see what people want to do towards the close as we get closer and closer to the close, or which is 4 o'clock, the official close, right? So from 350 until 4 o'clock, we can see which side the orders are coming in, which side the order flow is looking like. And there's going to be some values here. That's from this morning. It's just old data from this morning. So just be aware that if you are seeing that, it's going to be pretty much that. And as we get closer and closer to the end of the day, these numbers will start off big. At 350, they'll be bigger, and then they'll kind of taper off. So at 350, you'll get a big release. All these stocks will have their numbers attached to them. And then at 355, there'll be an update with the decodes. So any sort of floor broker interest that gets inserted into the book. So at 355, you're going to see a big change. Some stocks that maybe came out of sell will change directions. Now they're buys, whatever the case is. Maybe sells are getting smaller, whatever. That'll happen. And then towards 4 o'clock, those numbers just get smaller and smaller and puts kind of program influence and program pressure on the stock itself. So that's what you're looking at. That's what we're looking for, and which direction these kind of imbalances are going to go. And that's what we're looking for at 350. So that's coming up very, very soon. So we're just going to, as an example, I can give you from this morning, MCA, I don't even know what this is. Why are they 5 digits? I'm going to ignore the 5 digits. These are probably test stocks. Let's just say Wish. Wish was 69,000 shares to the sell side, but that's, again, as of, it's also ARCA. Okay, this is going to be
you got to right-click your
Yeah,
source.
it's going to be complicated for me. Anyways, let's just say this was the number from NYSE. It was an imbalance of X amount. Once you get that number come out, and if it's large enough for a stock that's thin, for a stock like Apple, 100,000 shares isn't going to do a whole lot. It's going to have to be something bigger, right? But bigger number than the number is, you're going to have an influence in that stock right at 350. And then you're going to see another pop or drop at 355. And then you're going to see that pressure play out until the end of the day. So that's what we're looking for as we get closer and closer to the end of the day. It's 3:43, a few more minutes, and we'll get that answer on what this market wants to do. For the time being, it does look like it wants to put in some new lows here. We're sitting just above the lows. We're sitting like 2 points away from the lows. And odds are we're probably going to take those lows fairly soon and continue its move. Remember, 4,200 is still the number that we're looking at as potential support. So that number could still hold. Hopefully we don't see it today, because that'd be a problem if we saw that today, because then we're starting tomorrow below any sort of support. Any sort of support. 4,200 is the last level I've had, and if we get through that, it's going to be a problem. So definitely keep an eye on this. This market's trying to respect this 30. It's going back and forth, sitting above this high, or above the low at 42.25-ish. But if we break, this is going to be a problem, and hopefully we don't get that move to the downside, especially not this late in the day.
Yeah, risky. Thanks, Arun, for doing that. And that's, your little 101 basic on the imbalance
Yeah.
locators. And I think it's pretty important to note, so that's for sure. Let's look at Apple heading into the imbalances right now. It's down to 160, and I forget about the daily chart. That is what that is. Oh man, and we have these wicks again. But yeah, it's respected this 160. So again, if these imbalances come pretty negative, we probably take that down. We are looking to reload. I mean, oh God, we just got... Honestly, I don't know. I feel like our internet's super slow. Lucas, we're not doing anything on that computer, are we? No. Okay, so we just took another reload. So we are now reloaded here in NIO. We still have that 50. We told you guys that we were waiting down here for 54. We missed the reload on the way back up, but right now we're going to respect that bottom. So we just took a 54 reload right now. So that's going to be something to look at here. NVIDIA still low, low, low. Let's check back in on AMD right now quickly, if we can. Well, yeah, so breaks that 110. We get out there actually at that 110 break. It goes as low as 109. Now we're starting to bounce around. Maybe that 110.50 is something that we should consider. So 110.50 on the long side. But hey, I'm pretty happy holding this NEO against these futures as they're trying to get to the downside. We only have 4 minutes now before these imbalances come out. So we'll see if we have any numbers on that one for the imbalance. But right now, wow, Alibaba, another low here, 110 coming on. I mean, I'm just going to throw out some names here. If there's anything you guys want me to look at here. Internet is super slow. People complaining about that. I don't know if there's anything we could do about it, but all we can do is mention it. So if the internet's slow, guys, I apologize. If you're freezing your browser, log out and back in. We've told the guys, so I don't know if there's anything we can do. 110 there on Alibaba. Just noticing that one more time. It's bounced off here a bunch of times, but no surprise again. No surprise on these numbers here because we're down to 110 and so are the futures. So here comes a 110 break right now. This is the bottom of the day. I mean, you did have, what was that level, 110.07? Yeah, there it is. So a break here of BABA. I was going to say, why don't we go short? But we, too busy talking. There it is breaking now, starting to go lower, lower, lower here into this close. Wow, the NASDAQ, Arun, taking out these levels as we start to think about what these imbalances are going to do. Downside, downside, downside. And there it is. We will flush it down. That's fine. We are positive on NEO. We're positive on NEO. Absolutely no problem. We took the majority. I mean, look, this is one reload, and there's the out. Then we reloaded again, and we got dumped out there. So that's why we take those shares. We reloaded another 25% of that position. So we take a standard lot there, gets dumped out as the markets continue to come down. Yeah, I don't think it's Russian hackers, but that is pretty funny. They're the Russian hackers. Apparently the hackers are doing some DDoS work on Ukrainian websites. Man, this is going to be nasty here as we get ready for this close, into the close. Facebook 198.72, again, another low. Mr. Softy, at least you respected some bottoms here, but we're still at the bottom of 281. More to come on this one to the downside, but yeah, the market right now taking down new lows. Teladoc 61.85 coming through now as well. So that's, whoops, that's a new, oh no. Okay, good. I was going to say, oh no, my chart won't load, but TDOC 61.80 right now coming through. So respect that bottom of 60 bucks. XLE, what is energy doing as the market right now is at like a crazy tipping point, man? I mean, thanks XLE. That's a TDOC chart. Let's see what XLE is doing here. 67.52. Yeah, so this is how I know we're having a slow internet. Like, we're not even getting quotes now. So let's just wait to go. Thank you for your patience with us. Alibaba, wow. That just took out that 110 and continued to go to the downside. I just thought I saw 109.80 there, which we did. 109.80 and change. I'm not going to be able to trade anything into the close, which sucks, but that's okay. We'll just continue to watch this go. Canada Goose 52-week low. What else is that 52? PayPal. Oh, PayPal. PayPal right now at $100 even. So that's a level of concern here. It's at the low of the day, $100.60. Look, if this imbalance comes out, and we're going to have it for you live in a minute and a half, if this imbalance comes out and it is to the north side, then these markets are going to rip, because I think that right now a lot of traders thinking that these imbalances are going to be sell, as many of these stocks right now at the absolute bottom of the day. So watch out here. The futures now lower, lower, lower. I mean, look at this. It's just embarrassing how I don't even. I'm going to do it to myself here so I can punch myself in the face. 329 goes the Qs. We had that short at 337, still making new lows here, taking out that 330 as the market continues to go to the downside. Any names you guys want me to look at? Let's check out on Palantir right now. Palantir, we're negative on this name today, although we did have some nice wins on Palantir. So let's call up the imbalances here just to see what's going on. So right now, with only a minute left, 10 seconds left now in these imbalances, let's see where they come out. And we're going to watch out for the market here and for some stocks to come through. We'll sort it by size. Here it comes. And as you can see, there it is, Vale with a 4 million sell. Apple with a monster sell as well. Market trying to tick down, but there it goes. Little bit of a refusal of the downside move. Down tick, now upside move. So why did that happen? Microsoft sell. Apple sell. Anything big on the buy side? I don't see much, but here we go. Oh, there it is. So now the refusal of that move to the upside, it's kind of just dancing around here. So there's the NASDAQ back through. I can see my YouTube feed not even working, so I don't know how yours is, guys. But right now, the market just a little bouncing. Looks like we're trying to take out these lows. And we said we'd look at Apple, taking out that 160. There it is to the downside. So yeah, big time movement happening right now in this market. And yeah, I don't know, Arun, are you okay now? Or
yeah. I was just looking at, I'm just looking at the imbalances too, right? And they're like, these are, even though the market's going down, it's really hesitating. It's really stalling out here around these 20s. There's a decent amount of buy-side volume coming in. I don't know. Even though the imbalances are mostly to the sell side. I mean, Vail is a sell-side imbalance of 4.4 million. LUMN, sell-side, 2.76 million. Apart from that, you really don't have a whole lot in terms of big names that we've been talking about. Space, 358 on the buy side, right? And then, so you got some energy names in there like Duke Energy and whatnot. But it does look like, for the most part, the top three at the very least are sell side. You're getting some negative pressure from the stock, but at the same time, I'm noticing some buy side action. What I'm looking for now at this point is going to be 355. Because 355 provides the next update, right, for what these imbalances are going to look like. And if these imbalances are going to look a certain way at 355, right now, obviously, sell side move to the downside with some pressure, some buying going on. But if we were to get some more buy side action after 355, this market's going straight up. Because remember, everyone's short, right? You get an imbalance that pops in the opposite direction, pushes some people out the door, which push other people out the door, and you're getting pretty much a run straight up. And at some point, I'm going to start looking for longs on this market going into the end of the day. It's going to have to, if it does what I think it's going to do, I'm going to start looking for some longs. There we go. There's some pops there. This is what not worries me, but I am going to start looking for some longs. You know what? We're going to do it now. We're not even going to bother with
the market's popping. I
mean, and this is what I was worried about. This is exactly what I was worried about. Well, I was worried about this beforehand, that hopefully we could have gotten this buying done before 350, but now we're getting, it's being done after 350. So if there is enough buy-side action at 355, yes, it's popping, but we need it to hold past the next update, which is going to be in about 2.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes or so. If it can get past that point, then I think that'll dictate how this market wants to go close, right? Sell side imbalance stays, you're getting a move to the sell side. Sell side imbalance flips to a buy. With the amount of shorts on the table, you got to look at for potential runs to the upside. So that's what I'm looking to play for anyways. I'm going to, if we get above, I think 30 or so, I'm going to start looking for some longs, see if we can't get a nice little run towards the end. But I'm okay waiting this out. As you guys know, I always talk about it. I'll wait it out. Not that big of a deal for me to wait it out. But for now, imbalances will update soon. Stocks, what are you guys trading? Bouncing to go lower. What's wrong with you? I'm sweating? No, I'm not. Great. Oh, maybe I am. It's probably probably shiny.
Yeah, it's probably just that. It's pretty warm in here.
It is unusually warm in here.
It is unusually warm. And you know what else is pretty unusual here? Like out of nowhere, I refresh my blotter and all of a sudden a Ford trade pops in. Thanks for that. I was long 1703. Like, where did I put that trade on at? I don't know. Don't even remember putting that trade on. But we just refreshed it and got out there, so that sucks. All right, we're going to play Palantir off is exactly what you were saying. So we wrote it down. We like a 1040 on Palantir. That was the bottom. We talked about that. So let's see where we go now on PLTR. I'm going to hold this position just to see if we can make a little bit of bread here in a possible run. So that's all. Trying to make some money back here on PLTR. Let's see if we can get back to 1050. And I mean, I like what you're throwing down there, Arun. Let's wait to see if the market can reverse itself here into the close on that imbalance number. So we're going to wait to see if that can go. I'm going to put an offer like, what is that? That's 48. Let's put an offer at 47, 48, and then see if we can't tick this out on the way upside. What's up, Neil?
A couple of things. One, White House saying releasing more oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve is an option on the table. Headline still coming through. But we have an earnings board, which is a little bit interesting. We should get into that because there's some names that people might be holding some bags in and probably going to have some volatility on this board. A little bit busy, but there are a few ones that we should be watching going into tomorrow's trade.
All right, we're coming back in. I'm just noticing, what did the 355 update look like? Doesn't look like it's changed much. Maybe a buy-side move. It's kind of mixed here because the market is going up a little bit, but I mean, it's not really popping as much as I thought it would be. So it does look like the imbalances, the way they came out, they're going to stay for the time being anyways, so slightly on the sell side. Do we have any updates on Vail? Vail still 4.1 million sell side. LUMN is still 2 million to the sell side. What do we got? VICI is now a buy of 1.5 and LU is a sell of 1.4. What's the next big name that I can see? GE, 264K. This is unusually small for a market that's down almost, 2.5% on the NASDAQ? So unusually small imbalances going into the end of the day. I think we're going to have to cancel that idea of potentially going long on this market now that we know what the imbalance looks like after 355. So, hey, back away. I think I'll take my wins. Remember, we were short from futures from up here in the 50s, right? Now we're trading at 20. So I think it's been a good day. Keep our cash, walk away, and maybe, trade another day, really.
Yeah, and tomorrow we can trade real money. Because we can trade real money day today, so we can trade real money tomorrow. Okay, so again, was hoping that this would start to go to the upside. We're long at 43s. I literally just took 20% out for 2 cents, like embarrassing there on Palantir. I don't know, man. It looks like there's size chasing this thing down. Let's just check out the imbalance locator for Palantir here. There's really nothing on here anymore. I mean, it has to be like a million for me to worry about anything. We'll see, because it's already done 90 million shares today, PLTR. So obviously it has the capabilities of doing many more shares than that. But here it comes to the downside. We're going to get out if it breaks 40. It is what it is at this point. Small trade. We already took a 2-penny winner on 20%. So if we take a 3-4 penny hit on the remaining 80%, sucks. But Palantir, we're trying to take a long there. With only 3 minutes to go, Ms. V, who won the poll?
Well, guys, no need in competition because I am the winner. 44%. Slim Shady, Tony, and Naruto, not even close, guys. I love you so much. I will be ring that bell really well for you.
All right.
Arun, not even close. Perfect.
Yeah. Well, you weren't eligible.
Well, she put me on the list anyway.
I know. You and Slim Shady, though, were going to be not eligible for that one. And yeah, shout out to Pratt. And it was good that that hair got done. I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks better than he did before. No cap.
I said that to him too.
Yeah.
I said that. Apparently his mom agrees as well, which is the most important thing. So Prad is now officially Platinum Prad. So anytime you guys refer to him.
And blondes have more fun.
There you go. You guys got to refer to him as Platinum Prad, not normal Prad, no Praddy Daddy. I don't know why you guys are even calling him that. But no, none of that. Platinum Prad is his name. Get it right. And you guys will see him tomorrow at 11 o'clock. And Valeria as well. They are now twinsies, as they like to call each other, platinum twinsies.
The blonde bombshells, I think.
There you go. Or that's a pretty good name. What do you think, Valeria? Blonde bombshells. You like that?
Blonde bombshells?
Blonde bombshells.
Blonde bombshells?
No, she can't. No, too hard to say. We'll figure out something else. Okay, so let's just move on with all of that. But yeah, fun times, always on the show. Welcome, guys. If it's your first time, we are trading live here, and we're just trying to put on some positions as I'm getting out of Palantir here at 43 every single time it comes through. I get ticked out of this trade. So yeah, just to the upside, we're going to get out of this trade with only a minute and a half. There it goes. So flat. So we got what were we long 42s or 43s there? I don't even remember. It looks like we were long 43s, out some 43s, out some 45s. That's it. We tried Palantir long, didn't work. We trade equity, we trade futures contract, no options, and no CFDs. The real good. Wow, what a bad day it was today in the market, man. I mean, the NASDAQ just kept making lows all afternoon. We're going to close on the low, which is never a good sign. We'd like to see a little bit of a rebound on that one. So yuck, not good here into the close. And I hope all of you guys were able to make a little bit of money out there. And if not, let's come back tomorrow where hopefully we'll hold some of our shorts and not be like Bart Simpson and eat my shorts, man. So there we go, man. It should be a good one. Yeah, we are. Look, we have the camera. Arun's a busy guy, man. So he'll be filling in for Neil, myself, and Prad and Brendan whenever we do need someone to fill in. So I'm going to thank Arun one more time. Oh, yeah, the countdown. I got it. Normally it's Neil, so good call there, Lucas. We will hit the countdown right now as we're getting ready to rock and roll with only 10 seconds left. It is the People's Valeria. On the bell today. So there it is. She does the Queen's Wave. 2 and 1. Hit that bell. Ms. V to end what was, yeah, watch out. You don't need a black eye there. To end the day right now. Actually, that's how Prad got hurt. He was ringing the bell. The bell hit him in the face that one time. We just didn't want to tell you. That was a little bit embarrassing. Let's go over to Neil. Neil, I know you're filling in for Brendan, but I'm not sure you have good news for us.
Well, no, the market's down. Look, obviously, look, we know you guys saw what just happened. Headlines were all negative in the last hour and a half to the point where I was actually just putting them in the chat. I'm not going to interrupt and read them all. But the S&P closed with 1.7 to the downside. It's the NASDAQ, man, down 2.4%, falling going into the close, meaning crude actually closing flat here, if that's even correct. Ethereum gave back some, although managing somehow to still be positive. Across the board, selling action that accelerated going into the close. I will say with the Queen Wave there, though, Miss V, maybe if the worst happens, why not? You should be the new monarch. I like that wave. I can't even do it right. That was pretty good.
You're doing it good.
We'll be taking that over.
Oh,
there. Yeah. The longest reigning monarch, I believe, of all time. Has COVID. So we'll see if she can survive that. But I want to give a big shout out, obviously, to the Platinum Kid himself. Came through today, looks great, looks fantastic. Like, this is the day he chooses to wear a salmon shirt. All right.
It's peach, get it right. It's not salmon.
Oh, it's peach?
It's
Mine
peach.
is salmon. I may wear the salmon tomorrow.
There you go.
For that one, just because now he's not wearing it, so, you know, we don't have to. Although if we sat beside each other, that would look.
You and Prad should do a side-by-side. You should get him up this desk.
Yeah? You want Prad to do the afternoon show?
Do it.
Yeah, maybe we will do that. How do you guys want to see Prad on the afternoon show? But then someone's got to do the midday show. So.
Well, Prad's got to do that too.
Okay. Wow. Okay, Arun. Yeah, look, it's been a great day. Great to have Arun in the building. Thanks so much for that again. Thanks for all the explanation on the futures and the imbalance talk and whatnot. And thank you to Neil for running the desk up there. And thank you to Ms. V. People said Ms. V looks like she's in a Janet Jackson video. If you go Ms. V and look up, no, it's a good thing. She's trying to Google it right now. No, it's a good thing. Janet Jackson. I forget what was the song. Oh man,
Rhythm Nation.
Escapade. I don't know, there's Escapade, I think, where she's wearing all black with a black turtleneck. So I think it's a compliment, Miss V in the Janet Jackson video right there. But a shout out to Lucas today. Thank you so much to Lucas. Thank you so much to Tim as well. Shout out to Liz, our new hire on the social media. So maybe you'll see a couple posts every once in a while on socials from us. But hey, thank you so much for watching. What a horrible day it was in the broader market. But I hope you had a good time being with us here on Trader TV Live. Join us tomorrow at 8:30. Big shout out to Arun. Hey, oh, by the way, how's the Pixel?
It's working out great.
You like the
Hey,
Pixel?
you know what's hilarious though? The timing of this, as I get this, I start to find out that the new BlackBerry phone has been abandoned at this point. So no new BlackBerry phone. So Neil, I guess, will be coming over to Pixel soon as well, because I know you were waiting for that one.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'm going from Android to Android, so iPhone's not a thing for me because the last BlackBerry phone was an Android. I'll run this one out, and then I've got to make a call. So your review is a good one. That might have to be at the Pixel.
It's a good phone. I like it.
Rhythm Nation, yeah, good call there. Janet Jackson. Yeah, it's a great phone. I mean, I got the Pixel as soon as I was waiting for it. So what's up, guys? Shout us out tomorrow at 8:30. It's Trader TV Live. Stay tuned for the trade of the day. Wish we would have held that short. Ciao, guys.